Years have gone by, Xbox done fried every chance they had. Now it's just bad. Could have changed the game, giving PlayStation a bit of blame. Push them to be better, lived up to the letter. Showed them X marks the spot, but just like we thought, Xbox wasted years, brought us all to tears. Prices shooting high, brings a tear to my eye. Games just get delayed, man, they could have had it made. But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI. Everything became an Xbox thanks to Sarah and Phil. Audience hated it, they'd had their fill. Starfield was boring, Call of Duty still blows. Fable looks great, but will we get it? Who knows? But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI. Asher, we've been waiting for oh so long for someone to come and sing a different song. We're tired and sad, but you can give us hope. Prove to us and that it's not just cope. But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI.
Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Yes, some 1950s bops. Indeed. Indeed they are. Wait, why is my button not working? Come on, come on. There we go, there we go. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Hopefully you're feeling good. High quality slop, hell yeah. Dude, somebody was like, we had one song, which was like actual slopness. Which one was it? Oh, maybe the Ubisoft one? Was it this one? No. Oh yeah, this one. I played this, somebody's like, I don't think that's a real person. This was after they laid a bunch of people off.
What the hell are we doing? Why are you like this?
Somebody was like, I don't think that's a real band. It's like, let's just take a moment. Do you really think I could find like very talented musicians to like sit down and like perform this and like commission? Like, no, it's a slop topic, a slop song. You gotta use slop. You know, I do actually. Somebody did ask if we could have like an actual band perform like the Concord song or some of the more popular songs, and I thought that would actually be funny if we actually did that. Like, imagine if we actually got like, you know, a barbershop quartet or something to sing one of these songs about PlayStation or whatever. I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be funny because some of them are kind of boppy. They're kind of a vibe. And like, will be honest, I spend way too long on the lyrics for like a meme song. Like, I should not be sitting down being like, what rhymes with this? Like there was one line in the which one was it? There was one line, I think it was in the Herman one, where I was trying, verse 2, somewhere in here. Is this it?
Herman loves horizon.
Yeah. I was trying desperately in this one to come up with a way to work in skid mark as an analogy for his impact on the PlayStation brand. And this is how I figured it out.
Even though it's mid.
Right, well.
Even though
Loves Horizon, even though it's mid.
Now he runs PlayStation like a mark of skid. Herman. Stupid Herman.
It is so stupid. I should not put anywhere near the energy into this that I do. But you know what? It's fun. It's fun and it's stupid. And that's what you need to do. How is everybody doing though? How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Everybody feeling good? Hopefully you are. Hopefully you are. I thought you saying that. Maybe I will one day. Maybe I need to. I'm the voice of a generation. Call me asparagus. Yeah, exactly. That's what I need to do. That's so funny. Hey, Luke, any idea if all of the cutscenes in Black Flag Resynced use motion capture? As far as I'm aware, yes. To be fair, if they were not, I'm sure they would not want that front and center. But as far as I'm aware, yes, they all do. They either use the old capture data or new capture data or a mix of the two. It seems to me like most of it has been reshot to like step up the fidelity level, but I'm not totally sure. I do think we will find out before launch. Like I'm guessing, and just to give you like some background, some inside baseball. Usually Ubisoft, the way that they do things, like they don't like shadow drops. They like longer marketing cycles. It's just how they work. Okay. That usually also means a lot more disclosure. So for like Resynced, I'm fully expecting that they're going to be doing like they'll give the game to reviewers or press for a demo. They always do that. I think if they were going to be at Summer Games Fest or like at the summer showcases, I think they would have disclosed that by now. Usually it would have been announced by now. So the fact that, as far as I know, they haven't disclosed anything makes me think they won't be there in June, but that makes me think that they'll just do a separate dedicated event for it. So they'll invite press out to try it or something. And when they do that, they usually bring game designers and directors out for interviews. And that's when we can ask those questions and find out specifically, you know, we have time. We have time. You know, the game doesn't come out till July, so we'll have plenty of time to find out. But I think that I think the answers in general are going to be pretty positive and upbeat. It has been pretty amazing to see how aggressively Ubisoft is, because that's going to be one of our main topics today, is Ubisoft is trying very, very aggressively to directly respond to feedback and get ahead of it and like answer those questions people have and leave little to the imagination. I saw one, maybe it's on like the Assassin's Creed official page. It was like one of these where they announced it and then they went through like a bullet point list of like the most important things to know about Black Flag Resynced. Was this it? Or is this just a picture? I think it's just a picture. Come on, play it. Oh, it's literally just the artwork. It's a slideshow. I didn't know you could do slideshows on TikTok. I thought that was an Instagram thing. I don't know what's happening, dude. I feel like a boomer every time I try to pull this stuff up. Maybe it was posted by, I thought it was an official account. I don't know. But basically what I'm trying to find is there was a TikTok posted from one of their official accounts where it was like, here's the 5 things you need to know about Assassin's Creed Resynced. And number 1, it's not an RPG. And I was like, bro, they're like actually directly trying to respond to like the feedback. Like people are rolling their eyes at the idea that it's an RPG. So they are directly advertising in direct response to what people like were rolling their eyes over and being like, okay, it's not an RPG, full stop. And there's, in the last few days, there's been some reporting and some discussions that would suggest that it probably at some point was much more of an RPG than it ended up being. And it seems like a lot of the feedback that was given, like they actually acted on, which is refreshing, to say the least. So I think that, keep the feedback coming, because they actually do seem to be listening to it and acting on it. And that's one of the things we're going to touch on, is that apparently AC Hexe has undergone significant redesigns, specifically in response to feedback from people online talking about this stuff. Okay. I will say it's always impressive to me. Like there are some studios where people, I think, put their heads in the dirt, where they hear negative feedback, and then there's this like toxic positivity attitude of like, ignore the feedback, ignore the criticism. They're just haters. I think that's what started to happen at many studios, in the last 5 years. But then it became very clear, you can't do that. Like, you can stick your head in the sand, but you're going to suffocate. And if you are like sticking your head in the sand and you're not, like, because the oncoming dust storm is scary, the dust storm's still gonna hit. Like, you're still gonna die. Okay, so it doesn't actually fix anything. You should much prefer to get the feedback early and do something about it rather than just hope it goes away, which has been Ubisoft's approach for the last few months, basically since this new leadership team came in like February. Their approach has been find out what people think before we spend $200 million on it, which is a good idea, I think. Honestly, if I was going to spend $200 million, I'd want to know if it was a good idea or not before I do it. Honestly, fair. So it's going to be fascinating, but I do think that we're kind of rounding the bend on this approach, because I will tell you what, guys, something I had previously heard rumblings about was recently confirmed to me, which is that, like, as you guys know, we have game designers and producers pop in to chat, and people hang out all the time from across the industry. It's super cool, very humbling that anybody who is smart and talented enough to work in the industry would chill with us. I think that's super cool. But it's come to my attention that apparently some of our specific videos, like we joked that us calling fair game $sign was why they ended up cutting the $sign from the name, and now it's just called Fair Games. We joked about that. Well, it's come to my attention that apparently our videos on this page, on this channel, and on the main channel were in fact being shared around the studio for Fair Game $sign. So they did directly hear us making fun of the name, and then shortly afterwards changed the name. So your feedback does make a difference. Okay, your mockery is heard. I was like, I always had a suspicion, and then it got confirmed to me from 2 different individuals. I was like, okay, now that's funny. So to be fair, we were not the only ones making fun of the Fair Game $sign, but it does seem like at the very least we had an impact. So there you go. Are we dropping frames on Twitch? I don't see anything on my end. I think so. A bit laggy for me. Thank you for letting me know. On my end, I am not dropping anything. Let me know if you guys see any problems on YouTube. We can double check everything. Okay. Might just be Twitch being Twitch. Anyway, but the point is, like, and the other rumor and leak from just like last week was actually from Insider Gaming, and the report was saying that most of the colorful, like the aesthetic that people didn't like from that announcement trailer has been stripped out. I think they compared the art style closer to Call of Duty and like Rainbow Six in the recent playtest compared to what they showed in that initial trailer, which was like pure Ubisoft, you know, everything's purple and people wearing monkey polygon masks, you know. It seems like all of that's been stripped out. So they are listening to feedback. They are trying to make changes. It's just a matter of whether it's too little too late, you know. But the point is, when I tell you guys, leave your thoughts below, I mean it. Like, leave your thoughts in the comments, put them in chat. They'll show up here because people do see it and it can actually have an impact, okay? Not joking. Too many pirates, 1 out of 10. IGN's like, honestly, I was really hoping that with this remake, they would tackle some of the moral implications of being a pirate, you know? Like, why doesn't Edward share more of his wealth? Frankly, I think that socioeconomic confliction is something that needs to be explored. 3 out of 10. They should just start labeling their reviews just like, I'm a miserable sack of shit. 4 out of 10. Dude, the fact that like every studio is now openly mocking that, doing too much cheese. Dude, I saw the freaking KFC Taco Bell whatever account. They went out and had a post making fun of that review. Like actually saying too much cheese. Do I have that bookmarked? Please tell me I have that bookmarked. It was crazy. It was wild, wild work. Oh yeah, this one, that's one example of it. Yeah, dude, KFC. Dude, the official KFC page, too much cheese. Like, what is happening? Like, KFC is making fun of IGN now. Like, bro, give it up. Give it up. I showed you this one too. Like, Ashton tagged me in this one last stream, and I showed you guys. Like, you know, it's just a IGN. This is the things to know about Black Flag Resynced. And all the comments, every single one is mocking them for those reviews. Like, it's so delightful. It's so delightful. But bear in mind, like, these guys are still the ones that are going to rage and say it's a you problem if you don't like Hangar or whatever. Like, they're so out of touch. It's amazing. Amazing. Anyway, so real quick, just to get out of the way, and then I'll read super chats. Thank you guys for that. Thank you for that. Real quick, if you are in Southeast Asia, there are price changes coming to PlayStation's hardware. This kind of snuck over the weekend. A lot of people missed it, but adjusted for the currency balance, this price hike now leads to our first. So in Singapore, it's now the equivalent of 915. This is for the Pro. That's about in line with the others. But in Malaysia, the PS5 Pro is now the equivalent of over $1,000 when adjusted for the when converted back to USD. So they've already crossed that $1,000 mark, baby. They already did it. And then in Thailand, it's about 957. As of right now. But there you go. Price hikes did hit. One of the other things that just happened, like literally 15 minutes before we started, was Valve remembered their login for their social media and announced when the Steam controller is dropping. Buckle up. I'll show it to you in just a second. Just a second. Ooh, baby. Real quick, known as Goose. Thank you for the 2. First time catching a live. Love what you do. Love what you do. Thank you for being here, my friend. RPG Veteran. Thank you for that one. Luke, AC1 remake leaks. AC4 has been pre-ordered. I mean, it just makes sense if they're going to remake one. Remaking the OG or AC2 probably makes the most sense. And I think remaking one is like a slam dunk. So it doesn't shock me that I think they've been playing with the idea. Maybe they've been doing like early work on it. But after seeing the resounding response to Black Flag, I think that they are actually going to act on it. Like, it is amazing how not complicated this has to be. Like, if you literally just get people in the project that really know the games, are passionate about the OG games, and want to revitalize them, like, it's a relatively easy thing, which it's why so many companies do remakes and remasters, because they print money when you do it well. Because people come in, they buy it for sake of nostalgia and reliving part of their teen years or childhood or whatever. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's just complicated when you struggle to do what your fans want you to do. But with this new leadership, I think that they at least stand a chance. And again, that's something we're going to talk about in a minute, because it seems like there's been a major rework to the next Assassin's Creed game since the new leadership came in. So we'll get to that. Garrett, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Day/stream 2 of asking where BioShock is. Also, could you maybe try and find out more about Judas? And have you heard about the new map for Arc Raiders? I have not heard anything about the map for Arc Raiders. As for finding out more about Judas and BioShock, I would be very down. I can ask my team to do some digging. I'll make a note. You ready? I'm going to make a note. I have these little like note cards that I keep track of tasks because I'm a visual guy. So I'm going to use my silver Sharpie. Silver for money. Couldn't afford the gold ones. I'm gonna write this down. To look into Judas and BioShock. Basically, by look into it, all I mean is that I'm gonna have my people talk to their people. We'll reach out to our contacts at the publisher and stuff and see if they have anything on the books. And maybe next time when you ask me, you'll ask me, "Hey Luke, do you have anything upcoming for BioShock?" If I do, I'll be like, "Can't say." And then you'll know. But if the answer is no, they're just like, "Yeah, we have nothing to share," then I'll just tell you, yeah, they have nothing to share. So no comment is a massive comment. But if nothing is actually happening, I'll just tell you nothing's happening. Okay. That's how it works. This is why I get in trouble. Your day/stream 2 of asking where BioShock is, dude, that reminded me. I kid you not, since Black Flag Resynced was revealed, I've had 4 different people across social media that started sending me daily requests for a free copy of the game. They're on like whatever it is, day 5 or whatever. Like day 5 of asking for Black Flag Resynced. Like every single day. Is it a bot? Is there a bot that does that you can like sign up to auto DM people for you with the same message over and over and over again? Because otherwise I'm like kind of impressed by the dedication, but I also don't want to reward like the no life behavior. Why you? I think people just assume that I have unlimited codes, I guess. I don't know. No way people think this just works. Dude, at one point I made a video about a cell phone. I had gotten a cell phone. This is years ago. You remember when all the Note 7s were exploding? The Samsung Note 7s, they were all exploding. It was a great phone. Loved it, but they started exploding. So they forced you to return them. When they did that, I had to return mine because I believe I was working at Best Buy at the time. And so I just returned it after my shift at work. But when I did that, I replaced it with the Edge. I think it was called the Edge. It was the one of the first phones they had that had the curved screen on the outside. And I used that, but it also had a massive overheating problem because it had massive overheating problem. I mean, it was just what it was. So I used it for a while, but it would get so hot in my hand that it was uncomfortable to hold, and it was curved screen, so I didn't want to put it in a big bulky case. So I was like, I literally can't hold it if I use it for too long, like watching videos, because it overheats. So I brought it in for a return and exchange to swap to a Google Pixel. And because of how weird it was at the time with all the Note 7s being returned, Samsung was not accepting returns for anything else because they were worried about phones exploding. So if you wanted to return the Edge phone, they would process it, give you your money back, but they wouldn't take the phone, at least not through Verizon. So I just got to return the phone, get a Google Pixel to replace it, and keep the OG phone. I don't know why, but apparently that was cheaper for them than accepting the return of the hardware. So I mentioned this in like a random like post on social media or something, like I filmed a vlog or something. Again, this is years and years and years ago when I had like, 50 subs or something. And dude, I had people swarming me, asking me, can you just send me the phone? Can I just have the phone? Because I've always wanted the phone. And, I think this would be a really cool phone and I'd use it. And these were people like in the middle of like, I think one of the guys was like from the Middle East, like in Iran or somewhere. And I was like, do you think I'm just going to like ship the phone? First of all, I don't even think the phone will work on those networks. I think you have to get one for your region. So I don't think that even works. But also, like, are you just searching on YouTube for like 50 view YouTube videos about phones and then asking to get one free? It was bizarre. It was really bizarre. But this at least makes a little bit more sense. Like, hey, gaming YouTuber, can I have a copy of this game? And if I have given people codes to games, I'll buy people games, especially like I'll see occasionally something where there's like, it's clearly a kid who really wants access to the game, or a teenager, somebody who just doesn't have the money to get it. And, I might try to hook them up. I might give their contact info to the publisher of the game and like, well, we'll get you hooked up. We'll figure it out. We've done giveaways for stuff. I'm fine with doing that. But I also don't want to build an ecosystem where it's like, you feed the ducks at the park and then they become reliant on the bread from the people at the park. And so then they like, it doesn't help the ducks. It's bad for the ducks. I don't want to do that. I don't want to encourage swarming people begging for copies of games, so I don't know. Day one of asking Luke for a kidney. Yeah. Hey Luke, hook me up with a candle. Money please, money please, money me now please, money please, money me now. They just want to resell it. Yeah, well, and that's the thing with giveaways, is that like, if I give something away, I want it to go to somebody who will actually like benefit from it and use it. I don't want to give it away to somebody who's just going to flip it. Like years ago, I was volunteering over Christmas it was through a homeless shelter, but most of the people that were there were not homeless. But the idea was that we would raise funds, then give out like Christmas presents for kids. And so like families who couldn't afford to get their kids Christmas presents could still have Christmas and give their kids presents, right? A noble cause, I think. And it was really cool. And there were many people who came in and really needed it. And were so thankful to get a gift that they could give to their children and give them Christmas, even though they were on hard times, But we would see these guys come in and they did not have any kids. And their cars were full of presents and things from other church programs and charities that were doing similar things. And like, it was known among the people doing the charity work that those people, they had a nickname for them, a name for them. I don't remember what it was, but there was like a nickname for those guys who would go and do that. And it was known that they would just go, accept the gifts for everything, say it was for their kids, and then they would hop online and flip those items, sell them on eBay and stuff, or on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. And it was just known that that's what they were doing, but you couldn't do anything, because if you started to like prove to us that you have kids, like, it gets weird. Grinches, is that what they call it? That kind of sounds familiar. They might have actually called them Grinches. That actually does sound right. It was just like, it kind of broke your faith in humanity a little bit to just be like, dude, these are literally gifts for children whose parents can't afford them. Like, this is the most Christmassy thing of all Christmas. And you're effectively stealing the toys from the children, because you taking them means some other child doesn't get them. You're taking them from the children so that you can flip them. Like, I don't know if that's evil, but dude, it is just about the slimiest thing you could possibly do. Because I get it, you might be on hard times too, but bro, like, you're literally taking candy from a baby. Like, it's just so gross. It's just so gross. So, stuff like that was always kind of depressing to see. But when like the people who were the regular volunteers there that like worked at the shelter, they were so used to it that they just kind of tuned it out. They're like, yeah, there's always going to be some of them. It was just what they were used to. But I hate scammers with a passion. I was kind of hoping that there'd be like, you know, a big dude outside in the parking lot who would see that and then go and kick the guy's ass, you know, because we couldn't do it. We couldn't say no. We're just packaging stuff up and handing it out. But like, I always kind of hoped that there'd be somebody out there who would just scare them, you know, like, because it ruins it for everybody, you know. It's just too bad. Anyway, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but let's see, where did I leave off? Tony, thank you for the 5. My PS5 Crimson Desert save is broken. Hope they fix it. It sucks when you really want to play a game, but you can't. I can only look around. No HUD, nothing. Really interesting. Let me take another note, because I don't know if you know this. I know people. So let me take a note. It's PS5. No HUD, and it happened after the latest update? Or was it like an update or two ago? And also, let me know, does it, like, if you try to start a new game or if you load to previous saves, does it work? Like, is it your whole game or is it just that one save? Let me know. I'll check it out. Let me know. Let's see. And thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate you. Okay, and then Redhead Jack, thank you for the 22 months. I never got my YouTube link for Discord access. Send you a DM on Twitter if you could add me. Also, yay, Steam controller. Thank you for letting me know. My I don't know if this happened to you guys, but X doesn't send me notifications for DMs anymore. I left somebody very important. I won't say who they are because that's, you know, they're private DMs. But I had somebody that, like, I'm a big fan of who was sending me messages. And it was very, very cool. And I was very humbled by it. And I straight up left them unread for like 2 weeks. I felt bad. I felt really bad. It was really bad. But X messages, Discord. Okay. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Let's see. Also, day one of asking Lou for a Steam controller. This is what I'm talking about. This is how it starts. This is how it starts. Hint. I mean, honestly, he's very chill, so I don't think he would have a problem with me saying this, but I don't want to betray any trust. A hint would be, vague. I'll go very vague. That would just give it away. I'll just say a year that is significant for this individual. 2017. That's all I'll say. Okay, that's all I will say. And then until you ask again, and then I'm going to say something and let it slip. Let's see. But yes, Redhead Jack, I will check Discord DMs or Twitter DMs, and I will get you your link. Also, anybody who emailed me, I will get to those. There's just a bunch of emails we have to work through. Sierra, thank you for the super chat. Publishers and console manufacturers not realizing their products were basically luxury items and are pricing themselves into collapse. Dude, I think that is what's happening. Like, I think that this latest price hike into like the $900 range, the only reason it's deemed acceptable is because they've done analysis, probably specifically for GTA 6, and they think that there's enough people who will buy it for $900 just to get access to GTA 6 that they think it's okay. But what happens the moment GTA 6 launches? Like, assuming that's true, which I'm not even sure if it is true. It might be the case that GTA 6 launches and a lot of people go, wait, it's 900? Wait, it's 650 for a base console, 900 for the I'm good. I'll wait. That might happen. But even if we assume that it's true that they do buy it up, what happens 3 months after launch? Like, what happens in 2027? Demand will crater. So then I think 2027 will be the year of price cuts. That's my prediction. I think 2027 will be the year of price slashing, of every major company, especially with hardware, having to start putting stuff on deep discounts and sales and lowering prices. Otherwise, demand is just going to be non-existent. I just don't think it'll work. You know, because I think that you can say that there's artificially spiked demand with GTA 6, but after that, what is supposedly going to be driving people to buying $900 consoles? I don't think there's anything quite that demanding. I mean, to be fair, we might see 2027 and we see like Corey's game. We're like, ooh, I think I need this. Maybe we see the Wolverine game or Venom game, and it's awesome. And you spend 80% of it playing as Sarah the librarian, and it's totally mid. And maybe that demands everybody's attention. Maybe everybody jumps in and pays $900 for it. Maybe that does it. Intergalactic, that could spike demand. But I mean, any of those, even if they're big, it's nowhere near as big as GTA 6. So I just think that 2027 is going to have to be the year where price cuts come, I think it has to be. Real quick, not lock. Thank you for the 2. Luke Stevens talks too much about games. 4 out of 10 IGN. Yeah, too many buttons on the controller. Just start complaining about stuff that has nothing to do with the game. Let's see. Vitonis, thank you for the super chat. Very generous. New update for Arc Raiders tomorrow. Hop in with us, Luke. Praise the Todd. Praise the Todd, indeed. I have a few games I want to jump back. I want to jump back into Arc Raiders. My brother Timmy is trying to get me to jump back into Marathon with him because apparently they did a big update that makes Rooks way more viable. So he was saying that now they did some update where Rooks, which if you don't know, they're the single player basically mode for the game. He was saying that Rooks now, because of some of the changes they made, he will load into a match with a team and there will be like 5 or 6 Rooks that are working together, swarming teams all together. So you have teams of 3, but then you'll also run across like 5 or 6 different Rooks that have found each other and like work together to take on the teams. He said it's like kind of crazy. So I've not tried it. Sounds kind of cool. So I might want to hop back in and try that. I really want to try Kiln. I've not tried Kiln yet. And I don't expect to like fall in love with Kiln. I think it'll be fun for like an evening, download it through Game Pass and try it for an evening. So we could do that. You're telling me Luke's brother is named Timmy and he's from Colorado? Yes. Whenever I see him, I do that. You better believe it. But no, he lives in California now. California way. Yeah, he sure does. Sure does. He left us. Lives in the Bay Area. I don't actually know if it is the Bay Area. What is the Bay Area officially? Bay Area, California. Is that literally? No, that's San Fran. He's not in the Bay Area because that's San Francisco, apparently. The Bay Area. Yeah, I've been to the Bay Area. It's very nice. You'll see, like, it's stupid expensive, but it is very nice. I was up, where is it? Fish. Oh, look, there it is. Fish, period. Fish, period. There it is. I was over here actually for it was Novato. There it is. This is where like BioShock, Borderlands, Mafia, all of those, like Hangar 13. Hangar 13 is an actual place like over here. Like the actual hangar number 13 is like over here, which is crazy. So I've been over here, landed in like San Fran and then drove up there. It was very cool. But yeah, he's not there. He's down in like Long Beach area. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, OMG, really? I did not realize that Hangar 13 was like an actual like building. That's the name of the building. Like it's Hangar number 13. Can I find? Is this some of them? It's no, these are not the right ones. I mean, they look like hangars. They look like this. I think at one time they were used for like actual work on stuff, like big vehicles and stuff, because they do kind of look like this. This is San Antonio though, but the building basically looks like it. But when they build these hangars, they label them very, very plainly: Hangar 9, Hangar 8, the Hangar 13, or whatever. And so when the studio came in and bought up the land, they bought these buildings that were each labeled Hangar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Hangar 13, the studio, was just apparently based in building number 13, which is why they call it Hangar 13. So the more you know. The more you know. Let's see. Still hoping for a Mafia DLC. Well, reportedly, allegedly, not even allegedly, Mafia: The Old Country did above their expectations. It outperformed, and they were greenlit to start working on whatever the next thing is. I don't think it'll be DLC. I think they're going to work on a brand new game. But yeah, it surpassed expectations. Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two, said that I think he like his exact phrasing was like, our thesis was correct. Zelnick on Mafia: The Old Country. Yeah, it says they got the perfect result. What is the exact phrasing? Yeah, it's something like this. What we suspected was confirmed. If you give customers or consumers a great narrative experience that's a lot of fun, somewhat contained, and at a fair price, then you have the perfect result. So he said they were very pleased. It was the perfect result for that game. So I think we get another Mafia. Dude, and there were people complaining that, like, suggesting that the game was going to be bad because you couldn't swim in it. It was like, dry up. What are you talking about, bro? Not every game needs to be Red Dead 2, and that's a good thing, because if every game was Red Dead 2, we get 4 games a decade, bro, and most of them would probably suck because not everybody can do that. So yeah, Mafia: The Old Country, I really liked it. I did a, like, I think it was 2.5 hour critique on the game, and like half of that was me ranting and rambling about the finale of the game. So I won't get into it here. If you want to hear my extended thoughts, just look up Luke Stevens' Mafia: The Old Country. You'll see my critique. I go through the whole story and I explain specifically why I have such a frustration with the finale, but I'll leave it there. I still really like the game. I still am very glad I played it, and I think it's very good, and I'm so glad that it performed well, and I'm rooting for that team so hard. But I had a passionate reaction to the finale of that game. But I think they could do all sorts of really cool things with a direct sequel to it. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. But yeah, because there's one thing in the final shot that's like really cool. Was cheese involved? No, lemons. Not enough lemons. 4 out of 10 IGN. Thank you, IGN. Can't believe it. Can't believe it, man. Can't believe it. I know. Yeah, you do, Frederick. Yeah, you do. It was a shocking ending. It felt, again, I won't get into it because I'll start rambling and I can't stop, as you guys know. But it felt to me too try hard. Like they were trying hard to do like a big what? And it didn't feel justified given the rest of like the 90% of the game. There were changes they could have made to make it make sense and make it work better, but there were a couple of things they did that were small, but that make that ending feel unjustified. Put it that way. But yeah, you should play it. If you've been waiting to play it, you should play it. Absolutely. Had lemons, didn't make lemonade. 2 out of 10, too Italian. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Insignificant. Oh, like insignificant. No, there's little bitty. How do I say this? Everything you do in a scene, blocking, how you stage everything, has an impact on what's communicated to the audience. If you have 2 characters talking to each other, and one, through the whole conversation, has their hand on a pistol, that communicates something differently than if they're sitting casually with their arms crossed or just hanging out, you know? So like little blocking things, even down to what somebody's doing with their hands, what they might do when they enter a space or leave a space, whether it's locking a door or not. every little bitty thing tells you something about the mindset of the character and what they're doing. If I leave a room with somebody and I lock the door on my way out, that tells you something. That tells you something about what that character thinks of the one he's leaving behind, right? And I felt like there were things done in the body of the game that would lead you to believe that certain characters shouldn't be they shouldn't have their guard down in the way that they might have. You know, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, again, I keep getting distracted. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Luke, did you buy a collector's edition of Black Flag? No, I was on a plane when it dropped and it was sold out by the time I landed. Oops. Sucks to suck. Sucks for me. Normac, thank you for the $5 super chat. After a year-long sabbatical, Johan Parstadt, who does AMA yesterday on Reddit, and dude, tell me if this isn't triggering and out of touch. Love the game. Scared. Dude, I've heard that there's a lot of drama going on in that world. I've not kept up with it, so I don't know. But yeah, I've heard there's drama. Tony, thank you for the 5 as well. After most recent fix 3 of my save, all do the same thing. Scared to start new. I have one manual save, but it's far back. I don't want to overwrite. Okay. After the most recent fix, it's 3 of my saves. They all do the same thing. Scared to start a new one. Okay. And is it just, you don't have to send a super chat, Normac, to tell me, but is it just, or not Normac, Tony, is it just the autosaves, the 3 autosaves that you're referring to, or is it 3 manual saves that are doing it? Just let me know and I'll make a note. Okay. Let me know. It's the 3 autosaves. Okay. Thank you. I will, I'll send some messages. I'll ping some people, okay? I can't promise anything will happen quick, but I will let them know. Okay, let's see. And then Stouffer, thank you for the 5 super chat. Appreciate you. Also, thank you for the follows, everybody. I see just the tip just followed. We got him, guys. Just the tip, though. Okay. Just letting you guys know, in case you missed it, it just happened again, like 15 minutes before we went live. Yes, Steam did officially reveal the Steam controller. It is happening. Of course, like they already revealed it, but they hadn't announced pricing or release date or anything like that. It is now officially revealed. They've sorted out whatever manufacturing or logistical issues they might have had. I still will say I would expect that this thing is probably going to sell out real quick and be hard to find. So if you actually legitimately want one, you should probably get on, order it at the earliest possible time, because I would expect that this is just one of those things. They have limited supply and I think it's going to sell out quick. But it is the Steam controller, of course, with the touchpads. If you used the Steam Deck, you know exactly probably how this is going to feel in the hand. And it is, of course, the controller that's going to pair with the Steam machine. It's a PC gamer's dream. I've actually really liked the touchpads on the Steam Deck. I think they work really, really well. The haptics are really, really good. I love my Legion Go 2. It's fantastic. Best handheld I've ever owned, but its little touchpad can't hold a candle to the one on the Steam Deck. Way better. And so I'm expecting this to feel really good in the hand. As you can see, magnetic thumbsticks, full set of inputs to play your whole Steam library, 4 haptic motors, 8.39 watt-hour battery, 35 hours of gameplay on a single charge, and it comes with a control or a cable as well. Enables plug and play, low latency wireless connection, easy magnetic charging, and the controller puck allows for you to play wirelessly. As you can see, play your whole Steam library, the whole thing. It does look pretty fire, and then magnetically charges. Love it. I hope that becomes more of a staple with next gen. Obviously, like the Elite 2 will do that. Like this thing, you can just drop on its charging puck, but this is like a $200+ controller. Or maybe now it's like 180 or something. But I hope that that's a staple for next gen, is that all controllers can do that, and they come with the puck, because I know that the PS5 controllers, the DualSense, you can put it like in the chargers, you know, but I want it in the box, fam, in the box. Stop selling it to me separately. We both know they're not gonna do that, but I can dream. As for pricing, it is $100, $100 dues, and it will be available for purchase starting May 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And like I said, I would fully expect this thing sells out pretty much instantly. So if you actually legitimately want one, you should sign up, because scalpers are going to get these, sell them for $200 a pop, and it's going to be annoying. So if you actually want one, get on it. And get on it for show. But I should get one. I would like one. I'm down. Do I need one? No, I mean, you can see I literally have this controller plugged in because I use it constantly. I don't know what I think my wireless dongle is going out, because this thing, even though this is a newer Elite Series 2, whatever the hell it's called, it disconnects constantly when gaming on PC. So I think I need to get a new dongle, because I thought it was the controller and then I swapped out the controllers and now this thing is doing it too. So I think it's the dongle. Anyway, I don't need one technically, but I do think it'd be cool if, I think that one comes in the box with the Steam machine as well. So if I end up getting a Steam machine, then I could see getting it. But yeah, I will probably let other people get it in this first batch. Maybe I'll get one later down the road, but I don't really need one. So I'll leave it up to the people that actually really could use one. Anyway, there you go. It's happening. Just buy a yacht. Okay. I'm gonna tell my wife. He said buy a yacht. You don't realize. Hiafka told me to buy a yacht. I have to. Don't tempt me. I would love to buy a boat. Linus has a video of it. Yeah, I've heard great things about it. It seems like it's going to be a really good controller. It's just, is it one that I really need? Personally, no, but I would like to get it. Steam machine will come with a controller. Okay, yeah. So in that case, do I really need one? I don't know. I'll wait. Now, if the Steam machine is $1,000, maybe then I'm like, never mind. Linus kind of trashed it. It was kind of weird. To be fair, it seems like Linus wanted something with wings. So, it probably just wasn't for him. Needed something a little bigger. Luke, when people think he has yacht money, dude, I would love a yacht. There's multiple stages you go through as a man. There's the basic financial goals of buying a house, setting up a college fund for your kids. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do those things. But then there's the things that will destroy your financial prospects. And that is buying a sports car and buying a boat. Just don't. It seems like a good idea, but you're going to buy the boat and then you're not going to use it for 5 years. Just don't. If you live in Florida and you can use it all the time, great, do that. But yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Jet skis, I could see that too. Timeshares, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you get in trouble. But I would love to have a boat, but I know that I shouldn't have a boat. It makes way more sense for me to charter something the one time a year I would go somewhere where I would be able to use a boat. So I just don't need one. But maybe one day when I'm 65 and I've retired to some random island in the Caribbean, I will get a boat and use it there. But as much as I would love one, I know that it's a terrible idea. I just can't. It's a dreadful idea. I want a Porsche. I will be real. I don't get the car thing. I don't, man. I was talking to a buddy of mine who also creates content. He makes really good money. And he just bought $150,000 car. drives it off the lot, immediately drops to like $80,000 in value. You know, it's just like, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Maybe that makes me, well, I guess if I was a boomer, I would be more into it because boomers love cars. I don't know what that makes me. I don't know what my problem is, but I just don't get it, man. I'm like, I'm just good. I'm good, man. I want a Porsche spaceship like the one in Intergalactic. Dude, I forgot about that. Intergalactic. Yeah, you guys remember all of the product placement? Porsche. It is the model 984 Tempact? Tempact, I think? NDX. I don't know what that means. And then like the Adidas shoes was another one. It's when she like puts her foot down. I think it shows the shoes. I'm gonna get copyright struck. Sony, of course, because it's Sony. Yeah, there it is. The Adidas shoes. Yeah. Product placement gonna go hard. And some people trashed it for this. I kind of like, I dig it because it's very 1980s and people forget, but dude, those 80s movies were filled with product placement, like all over the place. You'd just be like watching Rocky, and then Rocky randomly starts rambling about this toy you can get at Toys R Us or whatever. Like, it's just very weird, but very 80s. You know, product placement was a big thing back then. Now you only really see it in like Apple series. You know, you see it really obviously there, but yeah, I wasn't mad about it. I thought it was kind of fun. I was like, if you want to have a problem with this, there's very legitimate problems to have with all sorts of different games or pitches or stories or how things are framed. Like, there's legitimate frustrations or gripes to have, but I don't think that one's very high on my list, you know. Reebok and Alien. Dude, there's so many. Fast and Furious with Coronas. I'm proud to say I've never watched a Fast and Furious movie. I've never actually sat down and watched one. I've seen the clips, you know. It's about family. But I've never actually sat down and watched one. Again, I don't really get cars. Maybe if I watch them, I'd get into cars. Maybe that's my problem. I need to realize it's all about family. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's my problem. Yeah. Damn, not even Tokyo Drift. Yeah, just never had the urge. I have seen I've been on the ride at Universal Studios. I've been on that run. Yeah, that ride. Need for Speed. Or Need for Speed, Fast and Furious. It's what do they call the ride? No, Fast and Furious Supercharged. That's what it's called. Yeah, dude, it's just the worst. It's so bad.
But reassures everyone that they'll be protected, with the best acting of Vin Diesel's career.
Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
But not 10 seconds later, Shaw just shows up at the safe house, and the tram pulls forward into the next show. The movie plays out on both sides of the tram on a giant wraparound screen projection. Shaw and his gang show up.
This is the one in Hollywood, but the same thing happens in the Orlando version. It's just bad. It's really bad. It is almost every single year. It's voted the worst ride at Universal. Like, it's so bad. Anyway. Let's see. Wallet the Great, thank you for that super chat. People are going to hate me. Let's see. But I like the way the main character looks because she reminds me of Rose Namajunas. Do you mean in Intergalactic? I know Rose. I've seen Rose fight. In Intergalactic? Intergalactic reminds you of Rose? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. I'm not sure I see it. Is it because of the shaved head? Is that what you mean? Is that what it is? You do you, man. I see, at first I thought you were talking about what is her name? She might have actually fought Rose. What's the name of the girl who kicked Ronda Rousey's ass? Like the first time Ronda got curb stomped. Do you remember who that was? What was her name? I don't think she fights anymore. What? Holly Holm? Oh no, okay, then not Holly Holmes. You're right. Holly did beat her first. She got her with the kick. No, who was the... Oh, I'm blanking on her name. Is she in like Related Fighters? Because she was also pretty small. She was also in that like featherweight class. Her. Who's she? Who's this? Do you remember her? Dude, she was scary. She was so scary. Like, horrifying. Amanda Nunes. Thank you. Like, I could not remember her name for the life of me. Oh, yeah, she was scary, dude. She's scary. She could kick a robot's ass. I have no doubt. People are like, I don't know if somebody could actually fight a big alien robot like that with a sound sword. I was like, have you seen Amanda Nunes? Dude, she'd beat that thing to death with a stick and a dream. I agree, women scary. Yeah, I see that picture, and this is why I'm terrified of women. This is why. She's a human pit bull. I remember hearing somebody describe her that way, where it's just like, she's just got that fighter mentality, you know, like she's gonna rip your throat out. You know, it's gonna be crazy. Anyway. It's because of the bald head, says Wallet. I figured. I figured it would whittle down to that. Future middle-age crisis will be buying a console and returning to gaming with price spikes. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like I'm gonna splurge. My daddy splurged with a Corvette. I'm gonna splurge with a PS5 Pro. Gonna go crazy. Don't tell my wife. Okay. Let's talk about this. The big change, the big shift that just happened. New segment! It's new. And it's a segment. It's about changes that have happened to a game a lot of people were excited for. Are the changes good? Are they bad? We're gonna find out. I just like actually spat when I did that. Oh, sorry, not sorry. Let's talk about this now. Now that we've gotten properly moisturized. Okay, so as we all know, there is an upcoming game from Ubisoft people are excited for. 2026 is a wild year, my friends, but that's how we roll. Life keeps you guessing, sure does. But in the wake of all of this, I need you to understand that things are happening, changing and moving and shifting in the background offices at Ubisoft. Things are not the same as they have been for years, which is going to be music to many people's ears. Some of it we are seeing results of in generalized attitudes. Some of it remains to be seen. To be perfectly clear, Black Flag Resynced was greenlit years ago. It was greenlit with the old management At the beginning of this year, they brought in new management. Notably, they got rid of like Marc-Alexis Cotier, who that was at the end of last year. He was from Quebec. He was the guy behind like the AC Infinity push. His push was like, go big with AC, make it live service, make it kind of like Call of Duty, put everything in the Infinity hub so it's all on one launcher. And then AC gets like annual updates and new experiences through that portal. You buy a skin in one game, that skin carries over to the next game. It was this mentality of turn everything into Fortnite, basically. That was his big push. He got booped out. He now is suing Ubisoft for effectively terminating him. He says, like, officially they offered him another role, but it was going to be at a different creative house. So he has worked on AC his whole life, and he was taken off of AC. And so he said effectively it was a demotion, which was basically firing him without firing him. So he's now suing them saying, you basically fired me, even though you didn't send me a termination letter or anything. So that's in the courts, and they'll figure that out. Who knows how that results. But Mark is gone is the point. And I need you to also understand that there's a big separation within Ubisoft, specifically with like Quebec City, the Quebec team in Quebec, and Montreal. Montreal is the team that has their studio based out of that old like textile factory. So Ubisoft, you've seen pictures of it. I almost guarantee you. This building. It's very, very iconic, big Ubisoft building, big brick building, very beautiful. Used to be like a textiles factory, and it's now home to thousands of Ubisoft devs. It like stretches all the way back. It's massive. Montreal is like their darling child. Okay. This is the kid who was first born and got drafted into the NFL at 19. Okay. Like this is the golden child studio. Quebec is also very, very big and very successful, but Quebec approaches things very differently. So Montreal is behind a lot of people's favorite Assassin's Creed games. It's behind like Black Flag. They did AC Origins. They did Ubisoft's favorite that made the most money of any game they've ever made, which was Valhalla. And they also, I mean, they're just like, they're the big guys. They're the big guys. Like when they work on something, it does well. And they've been the golden child studio for a long time. But what happened is Marc-Alexis Cotier, he was from Quebec. Quebec also, in terms of Assassin's Creed just in general, they tended to not take the lore super seriously. They tended to be very fast and loose with it. They lean more into fantasy and less on keep it grounded within like the Isu storyline or whatever. And you felt that in the games, like whether you play Syndicate, which was Quebec, or you play AC Odyssey, which was Quebec, or you play like, well, even Shadows. I mean, as we all know with Shadows, if you remember the Attack on Titan, if you remember that one, AC Shadows. Every time I see a picture of it, dude. This was also Quebec. And listen, I know some of the guys, I met a couple of guys that work on the post-launch support for AC Shadows. They're legitimately really cool guys. They're passionate. They are really, really talented people. But they just, however this happened, was bad. Okay? Because this, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Maybe this is my hot take of the day. I don't think this should have gone out, because I think that Ubisoft Quebec had this broader approach where it was like, well, it's a free DLC. It's a free quest. So you get what you pay for. Like, you can't really complain. It's free. But I don't think they truly appreciated how this reflects very badly on the whole game and the whole franchise. Like, you can't just do this. My understanding from the rumblings I've heard is that this really ticked off some people high up within Ubisoft. Like, this whole thing caused a lot of drama. It is apparently one of the like final nails in the coffin that pushed for a lot of new leadership and a lot of new direction. They already were feeling, reportedly, that they needed to take things in a new direction after Shadows. But I think this was like yep, okay, we're pretty confident that, that we can't do these things anymore. So with that, Mark is booted out. Mark comes from Quebec, and he has this general approach towards Assassin's Creed that really perturbs a lot of longtime fans because, again, like I said, it's not focused on keeping it grounded in the lore. They will go and do things like Attack on Titan crossovers, throw in magic. Of course, AC Odyssey. It's been 8 years now. I can show you this. Spoilers for AC Odyssey if you haven't played it. Okay, spoilers. How do you spell AUR? That's it. I always want to misspell Minotaur. AC Odyssey had freaking Minotaur in it, and like Medusa. It had a Cyclops, you know, and you could sort of twist your way into this with like, I guess with some Isu stuff, and I think they like experimented with it a little bit to get there, but like they straight up just had fantasy stuff in the game. And I think Odyssey is really, really good as a fantasy adventure game, but as like an Assassin's Creed game, it just doesn't, it pissed off a lot of people because it just isn't even trying to be grounded, right? And but that was like the Quebec general attitude towards Assassin's Creed is you don't need to be grounded. It's a video game, whatever. And so that's been their approach. But when Mark left, it signaled, okay, they're not happy with how he was doing things. Maybe it's just like by virtue of his choices with the projects he greenlit, games were taking way longer to put out. Maybe that's what it is. But then we saw who they hired. And who they hired was a series of teams, or individuals rather. New for AC. This. Back in February, they posted an article outlining some new hires that they had. Martin Schelling, Jean Guidon, and François de Belay. They should hire me to just poorly pronounce things. Martin, right here. Martin is the new head of the brand. Jean is the head of content. And Francois is the head of production excellence. Now, notably, when these guys took over, they came in and started reevaluating everything that was on the books for like Assassin's Creed. And to be clear, this is within the production house called Vantage Studios. So Ubisoft restructured. They put a bunch of teams into different houses or different buckets, and each one of those buckets focuses on 2 or 3 IP, and that's what they do. They just do that. So instead of having 50 teams working on one game, you have like 2 or 3 teams that focus on it and just specialize in that. What is particularly interesting is that these 3 guys all come, I'm pretty sure Francois does as well, but they all come from Montreal. They do not come from Quebec. There's this like shift that seems to have happened where now they're going back to guys whose history is on games like Black Flag and Origins and Valhalla. That's their specialty. Because that's basically what Ubisoft wants to get back to. They want to get back to Black Flag when fans were super excited, and Valhalla when they were making $1 billion with a single game. That's what they want. Shocker. Shocker. So they bring these guys in. They start doing major evaluations. Notably, Francois instills a new chunk of, or a new standard, a new quality standard. So he came in and set a bunch of rules. We don't know what these are. Now, I got to sit down on a Zoom call, or I think it was a Microsoft Teams call. Times are tough over at Ubisoft. I'm kidding. Teams is fine. But we hopped on a Teams call and we talked. I asked Jean if he could clarify and tell us what the new quality standards were, and he said he couldn't go into that, which honestly... fair. I'm sure it's a very complicated list of things. Like they have to have this number of bugs reported by this stage in development. I'm sure there's like technical stuff with it. So it's not as simple as just like, yeah, we have to do this. Like I'm sure it's harder to get into in a quick call with people. But what's interesting is that this new quality standard seemingly caused a shift in tons of different timelines. So Black Flag was delayed. It was rumored that it was originally supposed to launch in February or March of this year. Originally, I think it was late last year as well, was the original timeline, but it got delayed again once they put new quality standards in, and everything else got delayed. So Hexe was also delayed, and a bunch of other stuff that they're working on with, like, in that production house, like Far Cry delayed, and a bunch of these other things were shifted because of these new quality standards. We don't know exactly what those are, but clearly the quality standards were significant enough and different enough that they required months of added development time, which, again, just to stress that, takes millions and millions of dollars. I believe the original AC Shadows delay from November to February before it was delayed again to March of 25. I believe that initial delay of like 3 months, Ubisoft said, cost them around 25 million euros. So just one delay for one game costs tens of millions of euros. Imagine what delaying your whole portfolio does. I mean, they're spending a lot of money because of these new quality standards, okay? So that happens. We don't know exactly what, like, Martin and his direct input is, but he's the head of the brand, so maintaining, like, healthy outlook within the community and the fandom, making sure when people hear Assassin's Creed, they don't think live service slop garbage. They think, I want to play that. I can't wait for the next one. That's like part of his role, is keeping the brand healthy, which it clearly was not. Okay. Doesn't take an industry analyst to tell you Ubisoft was having trouble keeping their brands determined to be like premium. You know, they're having trouble with that. But what we do know is that Jean started to review a lot of stuff, and he got his hands dirty pretty much immediately. Okay. So Jean, just so you know, he's the previous creative director on Black Flag and creative director on AC Origins. He's got a production background from a design perspective. So his role and his experience is in building these games. And he specifically has worked on fan favorite games and also games that significantly overhauled the way things were at the time. So he's kind of the guy that comes and reinvents AC when it's in trouble. He came and reinvented it with like Black Flag. And when I was on the call with him, he mentioned how, like, when they originally came up with the idea for Black Flag, when he came up with the idea with a couple of coworkers and they decided they wanted to pitch it, it was insane. Like, the idea that we're going to take this franchise, which at that point, when they were doing the original ideation, I mean, they're coming off of like AC2, they're coming off of like Brotherhood, like they're coming off of these games, which are very different from Black Flag. The idea that you're going to take that game that's basically about hunting down and beating up popes and like light parkouring through medieval cities, and you're going to take that and make it about pirates? What? How does that work? But it worked, clearly, demonstrably. It worked very, very well. It's one of people's favorite AC games ever. So he's got the vision. But he came in and started using his vision to evaluate the different projects that Ubisoft was working on at the time. Black Flag Resynced being one of them, apparently, which is part of why, like, they've done one delay to push it to July, because they wanted to tweak some stuff. I don't think it was anything that major, but it does seem like the marketing approach to Black Flag has been a direct reaction to fan feedback, specifically stuff like the RPG mechanics. You notice how Ubisoft has been very forceful. It is not an RPG. It is not an RPG. I saw a TikTok posted from an official Ubisoft account where they said, here are the 5 things to know about Black Flag Resynced. Number 1, it's not an RPG. Like, the idea that they're coming out so forcefully and saying that, when that is like one of the primary frustrations from the fandom, shows that, okay, they're like trying to listen. Okay, interesting. But just today, we got some further reporting about something else that Jean did. Now, what we knew before this was that Jean took over for AC Hexe. Quick rundown on Hexe. That is the game coming from Montreal. It's the next like big mainline Assassin's Creed game. And that one is expected to be very, very different. So it's also kind of a reinvention. It's expected to be way, way darker, way more gritty. This was the trailer they dropped back in 2022 for it. Just kind of a sizzle reel, but basically it's set during the German witch trials. It was said to feature magical elements, supernatural elements, where you were going to play as a woman named Elsa, who is accused of being one of these witches, and she has magical abilities to like possess animals and use those to get around situations. So there's city guards. She possesses a cat, and then the cat goes and distracts them, knocks something off of a wall. It falls on the floor, distracting the guards, and then you go back in. That's what we understood it to be. But now there are further leaks of what Jean might have actually done when he saw the game after coming back to Ubisoft in February, because he sat down with the team and he took over. Notably, right as he came in, a lot of leadership stuff started to shift and change. So the previous game director was a guy named Clint Hawking. Clint Hawking was the creative director on like Watch Dogs Legion, for example. So he's worked there. He's put some stuff out, nothing crazy commercially successful. But you know, he's been there, worked at LucasArts, at Valve. I mean, he's got an impressive resume, but specifically the projects he's put out, Legion was the last one. Prior to that was Watch Dogs 2, Far Cry 2, and he did like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell and some of that stuff. But you notice Hexe is not listed here. Well, it's because he was creative director on that for several years. When, also, fun little fact, he's the guy that came up with the term ludonarrative dissonance. I don't know if you knew that, but he's the guy that came up with that in a talk a few years back. So when IGN was talking about how Mouse PI for Hire is a 6 out of 10 because of too much cheese and ludonarrative dissonance, they're borrowing that term from him. Fun fact. But he left out of nowhere. And then it's reported that Jean is taking over. And he's now in the captain's chair, and he's getting his hands dirty, doing a bunch of reviewing of the game and the current state of things and all this. And then we got another update that another one of the game's directors left in the last few days. This was posted April 27th. As you can see here, this individual, Benoit Richer, said that he's leaving Ubisoft. He announced his news on LinkedIn over the weekend, revealing that he was moving to an indie studio. Quote, "This is the beginning of a new chapter. I'm joining Servo Games as game director," he said, "an indie studio of industry veterans aligned around a shared vision of the industry and experienced creation with a strong complementary skill set." Richer had been a game director for Ubisoft since 2017. Prior to that, he spent 7 years at Warner Brothers Games as a game director. The news of the departure came at the same time Ubisoft decided to scale back the team work on Hexe. We'll get to that in just a second. Not to get ahead of ourselves. But he leaves. So what is happening? Hexe was rumored to be coming like this fall. And now the game director is leaving. And prior to that, the other game, like creative director, left. Like, what is going on with Hexe? Well, we have some reporting from Tom Henderson. Assassin's Creed Hexe loses 50 developers as the game targets 2027. What seems to have happened is that Jean went back in, looked at the game, and found many things he was not thrilled with. And so he decided to change it. And in changing that, that meant that some people who thought those decisions were the right ones left. And it meant that they are redoing fairly large chunks of the game. What are these chunks specifically? Well, let's see. Approximately 50 devs working on AC Hexe have been taken off of the project as the new AC leadership team makes changes. The decision to scale back 50 developers on Assassin's Creed Hexe came last week, just a couple of days after the announcement that an unannounced project named Altera had also been canceled. If you don't remember this, Altera was like Ubisoft's version of Animal Crossing. They'd been working on it for a while, and apparently they just chose to walk away from it, not thinking it was going to be successful, so why spend time and money on it. It's understood that around 50 developers have been moved from Hexe to Ubisoft's inter-project team, which is home for developers who are not assigned to a project at Ubisoft. According to sources familiar with the matter, members of the inter-project team are required to secure a project at Ubisoft within a 3-month period, or they could face redundancy. So basically you get taken off of a game, you go in limbo, you work on a little bit of everything, and you need to get recruited onto a full team. Otherwise you could be laid off, right? As first mentioned by Jonathan, if you don't know, is a French YouTuber that leaks a bunch of stuff about Ubisoft and about Assassin's Creed. According to Jonathan, Jean Guidon, who began overseeing the Assassin's Creed franchise earlier this year, has decided to remove, quote, the cat companion feature, end quote, from Assassin's Creed Hexe. Instead, the game will take a more grounded approach to witchcraft, with the game's protagonist understanding the science of chemicals, etc. For instance, she knows how to make a smoke bomb, which to ordinary citizens makes it look like she can disappear. So the presumption being that prior to Jean coming in and overhauling some of this stuff, the game was built around like actual magic, like she actually pops something that makes her invisible. And like actually is using magic in the way you would expect in like AC Odyssey or AC Shadows and some of the stuff that they would do with that, where it's like just straight up supernatural. Now he comes in, says, no, we're not doing that. It's going to be grounded. It's going to make sense in the universe. It's going to be like, you can have scientific stuff, but we're not just doing straight up magic. It needs to be like explained. Okay. He comes in and says, we're going to ground it. So she can still have that effect on people. They can think that she's turning invisible, but the reality is that she's like making a smoke bomb, which they mistake for that because they don't know the science behind it, right? Which honestly, I kind of like that. At the time of writing, AC Hexe is penciled in for June 2027 release, but sources speculate that a recent decision to scale back by 50 developers is an attempt to stay under budget and potentially delay the game to holiday of 27. Several more Assassin's Creed games are in development at Ubisoft, including Black Flag Resynced, a multiplayer game under the codename Invictus, and another remake, which is rumored to be of the original game. I'm gonna be real. Look here, look, listen. I kind of dig it. Okay. So here's like, if you're going to do any one of these things, I think it needs to be consistent. One of my frustrations with Assassin's Creed has been that from one game to the next, they feel like totally different franchises. Like you will play a game from like a Montreal team and it feels one way. And then you play another game from Quebec and it's just straight up like fantasy. You know, you'll come off of Origins, which is trying to keep it grounded in the lore, and like in the post-launch support they did rift stuff where of course in the DLC you fight like or the second DLC, the was it Valley of the Pharaohs or something like that. They do like experimental stuff in the DLC and I think people are generally fine with that, but in the base game it's trying to keep it pretty well locked and loaded in the lore and in the universe. And then you play like Odyssey where just straight up you're fighting Minotaurs and Cyclopses and Medusa, and it's just all attempts at keeping it grounded are out the window and it goes full fantasy. If you're going to go full fantasy, go full fantasy. Like for the whole franchise, make that the direction you go and keep it consistent. But don't do this like half and half thing, because it just ends up frustrating both players and both gamers, where there's people who like the fantasy who then play the next game and it has like no fantasy and it's really trying to be more realistic and grounded. And they're frustrated because like, where's the magic dragon? I remember people were asking about AC Shadows. They were like, is there going to be a like dragon fights? Because you guys did that with Odyssey. Is there going to be anything supernatural and anything like that? Because that player expectation gets developed when you're constantly switching back and forth. And so hearing that they're trying to align the visions more makes sense to me, especially if Jean is being given creative control to come in and say, yeah, we're going to try to ground it. We're going to try to keep the games locked in the lore and feeling like a coherent franchise again. I respect it. Now, there are things we don't know. So we don't know to the fullest extent what role like magic played in the game. It could have been, I mean, let's be completely honest. There's always things we don't know. And never ever doubt a team's ability to do something that maybe sounded good at one point that ends up just not playing very well in the end product. It happens in game development all the time. Who knows? Maybe they had the idea for a cat that's magical and provides witty banter. And then you start playing AC Hexe and this cat won't shut the hell up because they were trying to do a Mimir thing where like he's constantly talking to you. And it's like, can we shut up the cat, please? Maybe it's something like that. Like, we don't know what we don't know. Okay, it's possible the cat never shut up. It's possible the cat talked. It's possible that the cat had wings and flew. It's possible that there were whole gameplay segments where like Elsa, the alleged name for the protagonist, she just starts like pulling out a literal wand and doing Harry Potter magic with it. Like, it's possible. Apparently this is Harry Potter magic. I was imagining using the wand like, Avada Kedavra, you know what I mean? But anyway, all I'm saying is we don't know what we don't know. But Jean's track record is pretty good. This is the guy behind AC Black Flag. Hot take alert. I'm a fan. If you couldn't tell, I have Edward behind me in the studio. Big fan. Frankly, I give it a thumbs up. He's behind AC Origins, which I will admit I am also a big fan of. Not just because I love ancient Egypt. I literally have pyramids and like a death mask and little stone pyramids behind me. I do love ancient Egypt, so I am a little biased there. But I also love Origins. That game was like a literal dream come true for me. So for me, Jean can kind of do whatever he sees and thinks is going to be best for the franchise. And I'm probably going to be much more confident in his choices over like some director I don't know, or previously like the creative director for Legion, which Legion was a very cool technical showcase. Watch Dogs Legion. They kind of forgot to make a fun game at the same time, but you know, don't you hate it when that happens? Work on a game for years and I was like, all right, it's got to be fun. Oops. Very impressive technical showcase, but just wasn't that great of a video game. But I think when it comes to Assassin's Creed, I think Jean is the guy who probably knows what fans are going to really eat up more than like the guy that did Watch Dogs Legion, right? Now, still, at the end of the day, AC Hexe represents a pretty major shift for the franchise. It also represents the first time we will see a game that was made with a significant amount of time spent under the new leadership, because realistically, if it ends up actually shifting to like late 27, that could mean that it will have spent, you know, a year and a half, 2 years under the new leadership team that is trying to get the ship righted, that's trying to take Assassin's Creed back into its heyday. And so I think that's when we will actually see the results of their efforts and the fruit of their labor. So I think it's a pretty pivotal moment. Like Black Flag Resynced, most of that work was done before these guys got in there. They can do a few little things. They can target the marketing beats. They can approach things a certain way, but in large part, most of the work was done before they came on. Same with like AC Invictus, which is the upcoming multiplayer game. That's not going to be indicative in my expectation of like Hexe, because I think that Invictus, the vast majority of work was done under Marc Alexis Cotier and under the previous guys. I don't think that is predominantly, you know, going to be reflective of the other stuff. But I think they understand that this is a big moment that they need to nail, and they've got to come out swinging with Black Flag Resynced. Invictus needs to not be like so overly monetized, and like multiplayer is an old school thing with AC. People forget, but multiplayer was a mode in many AC games for a very, very long time. It was primarily Unity actually that killed it off because Unity. But you know, that multiplayer is not crazy as a concept for Assassin's Creed. We don't know details exactly of how it'll play, of course, but it's not impossible that ends up being decent or whatever. It just depends on a lot of things, like how they monetize it, how they frame it, all of that. But I think that they understand that they have a chance to actually kind of turn things around a little bit, and seeing the excitement for Black Flag is a prime example of how you can actually do this. Like, you could actually revitalize the fandom significantly and get them stoked for Assassin's Creed again. You could actually, no joke, do that, but you gotta deliver, and the execution has to be right, which is why seeing that Jean came in and felt so strongly about changing this that he's willing to restructure the team, potentially delay it by another handful of months, and overhaul major components of how the game was, and take over directly as basically the director of the game, take it over and overhaul a bunch. That is very interesting to me. And again, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm more inclined to be excited for Jean's creative decisions than the previous directors. I think the other directors, obviously very talented individuals. To be a game director at all in this industry, you have to be very talented to get to that level to direct a game. Making a game, period, is a miracle. But getting to the point where you can direct an entire team to make a video game shows you clearly are very, very talented, very smart, and you know what you're doing. But just when it comes to creative decisions as it pertains to a franchise and a franchise's direction, it's hard to argue that like Jean is not the guy to make a lot of these big decisions. Again, Martin also, as the head of the overall brand, has a lot of say in this as well, where he's coming in and he's trying to make decisions, specifically listening to fan feedback. If fans are telling you they're sick of the RPG open world thing, listen. Crazy, right? If they tell you, can we just cool off with the RPGs every 2 years? Maybe listen. It's amazing how easy this becomes when you just start listening. It's why I was really encouraged to see that like Jean made it a point to try and sit down and listen to people, give feedback about the franchise, even if that feedback was kind of negative. Because I'll be real, on that call when we were offering our opinions, they asked us, they were like, how do you feel about the franchise right now? What are your frustrations? What do you love? What do you hate? Like, tell us about it. A lot of the feedback was not positive. A lot of the feedback, I'm sure, was not what you want to hear. You want to hear, oh, love what you guys are doing. It's all great. Dude, there were people on there who run pretty niche channels on Assassin's Creed, and they were very upset and passionate about like modern day storyline stuff, about Isu storyline stuff being abandoned, about the focus on RPG stuff, the over monetization, all of this stuff. And he listened to it, and they took notes, and they were like actually trying to get the feedback. And that makes me more confident that things could actually change. Very, very, it's doing the right things, listening, and then figuring out how to act and move forward where you need to go. So, why do all these decision makers seem to not be gamers? I'm not sure what you mean, because like the people you see on screen now are like OGs. These guys have been making games for decades and have made some of the fan favorite games of all time. Like Black Flag is literally listed on like commonly on lists of the greatest video games ever made. And though that's one of the games that these guys worked on. So they are gamers. As for if you're talking about like previous leadership or previous companies and other companies where they tend to promote people who maybe are not like, they're more business people, like a Jim Ryan, for example. I think that's usually just an artifact of executive leadership wanting to get somebody who's focused on the business to come in and run the business. And they think that being involved with the other stuff isn't that important, but we will see. But they're actually listening to a lot of the feedback. For example, like even something, this is I probably honestly a direct result of like the Stop Killing Games movement. So shout out Stop Killing Games. Looks like it's actually having an impact. But for example, they've already clarified that Black Flag Resynced will be fully playable offline. So if you want to access, like, of course, the in-game store, you need an online connection, but it's not going to lock you out if you are offline. They're going to let you play it offline. Imagine that. Can you even imagine playing a game without an internet connection? What is this? What is this? 2003? It's insane. It's insane. But it does show that, again, this isn't that hard if you actually start listening. Okay, it's just not that hard. But as for like broader things, do I think it'll actually slip to late 2027? That to me makes more sense. If I'm being real, our understanding of this game, we don't know much about it, but my understanding is that it's much darker in tone, it's grittier, it's darker. And as a result, release it in October. Like, make it a Halloween spoopy game. Like that just makes sense to me. If you're going to make a game kind of spooky, put it out in a spooky time of year, you know, rather than June. So like releasing a spoopy game in June feels like releasing a Christmas movie in April. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I would not be surprised at all if it gets like pushed later in the year. That would not shock me. Moving 50 devs off of it, this also could just simply be, I don't know how many people they have working on it in general, but let's say they have 300 or 400 people working on it directly, not just like doing contract stuff, but directly. Maybe 50 of those people, if they were in like QA stuff, they were working on final polishing or something, or localization and things, but you know you've got to rewrite a bunch of dialogue, you know you got to redo a bunch of this stuff, and so their work is just not going to be that useful until you get further along in redoing some of this stuff. Unassign them so they're not just sitting at their desk, have them go do something else, and then redo a lot of this stuff, and then go back to it. Her head is kind of big. To be clear, this is not an official picture. I think this is an AI generated picture because we have no artwork. We have nothing official from it. So I'm guessing that this is just AI generated. Hence her head looking like it is a watermelon with eyes. Anyway, I'm optimistic about this. I think that it does make sense given Sean's history that he would want to ground it more and keep it less just broad fantasy and open it up a little bit more. And honestly, I think if anybody knows how to get Assassin's Creed back on track, it's probably these three guys, honestly. Like, it's why when we looked at the article back in February, some of you guys were here on stream when we read it because the news broke and we pulled it up. Going through it, it's like, these are actually really good hires. Like, color me surprised. This is like actually pretty impressive. Okay. Like, color me surprised. I did not expect to be like, these are good hires. I was braced for it to be like, you know, some of the college buddies of Yves Guillemot's son, and it's all like NFT crypto bros. But no, it was like actually people with an experience on the franchise who really know what they're doing. I was like, okay. So I am much more optimistic than I was certainly in January, for example. But they still have a lot of work to do. Resynced needs to hit, of course. I think Invictus is going to be very fascinating to see how they frame that, because I'm sure it doesn't take a genius to know that even if you nail Black Flag Resynced, announcing and releasing like a multiplayer live service Assassin's Creed game is going to generate discourse. There's going to be talk about that. I'll tell you what. Now, maybe the game is really, really good and people eat it up and love it. That's possible. And maybe that's exactly what they need. Maybe, you know, in a year we'll be laughing that anybody was doubting Invictus. But I think narratively it's going to be a difficult thing to shift, because yes, there were for years and years, Assassin's Creed games had multiplayer game modes, but it's been a long time since then. And so when people think Assassin's Creed now, they think single player game. And so when you do a multiplayer spinoff, it's gonna just could be considered weird. It's going to be considered different. Even if it's not different to the OG games that had multiplayer modes, it's still going to feel different. But you know, it's why I said pair it with something like Black Flag Resynced. Like if they really, free advice, the best way to do Invictus, in my humble opinion, is to like literally shadow drop it right next to Resynced. Give all of the single player fans something to sink their teeth into that they absolutely love, and then drop the multiplayer game on the side. So even if people are like, I don't like this, they can go play Black Flag instead. Give them something else. You know, that's how I would do it if I was them. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if it's even close to finished. I mean, maybe it's been delayed as well. We don't know. But that's how I would avoid the drama. That's how I would avoid it. Invictus probably only on PS6. No, it's expected to be like close. Like it's expected to be this year. Like very close. So. Or Hexe. Yeah, if they dropped it right next to Hexe, that could also be a really good way of doing it. I just think launching it by itself and trying to frame it as a big AC game, which is what I think they were going to try to do when Mark Alexis Cote was in charge. I think that probably creates more drama. If they drop it next to a single player game, you bypass the complaints that you're doing this without a single player game. You're taking it from a single player franchise into a multiplayer franchise. Even though that's not what's happening, even though it is a spinoff, it's going to be framed that way. And you can avoid that by just putting it next to something that's single player and that satisfies people who like that, you know, that's the key. That's the key, my friends. That's the key. But overall, I'm optimistic, and honestly, hearing that they are making changes gets me more excited than if everything was staying the same as it was from the last like group of leadership. If they were releasing things the exact same way that they had planned to 2 years ago, I'd be more frustrated by that than hearing, yeah, new leadership came in and is changing stuff because they're new leaders and they want to do things differently. That is exactly why you get new leaders, is to do things differently. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, it looks like Hexe is probably now looking later 2027, which is going to be fascinating because we also should be seeing that around, like we should be seeing a Far Cry game allegedly around there. Like Ubisoft could come out swinging with a pretty hefty 2027. We were originally thinking that they would have all of this stuff ready by this year. Like we originally thought we were going to get Black Flag this spring, so like March of this year, and that we would get Hexe late this year, which I think was the original plan. But then everything's been delayed and shifted, and they're reworking stuff under the new leadership, and now it's all shifted. So Black Flag, of course, comes in July. Hexe probably comes a year after it was originally slated to come, and it's going to be fascinating. Like Asha for Xbox. Well, yeah, if you're going to bring in new leadership, it's because you need to change things. And so seeing them do something different is exciting because that's exactly why you do it. But why do some gaming communities, why are they so quick to be blackpilled and doom and gloom? It just seems like something that baffles me for the longest time. I think mistreatment breeds cynicism. When a community has been stepped on and mistreated and ignored and gaslit and you name it for years, you shouldn't be surprised when they grow to have disdain for the company that mistreated them, you know? And I think whether you look at a lot of like broad communities, like maybe like single player gamers, narrative gamers who feel like their desires and their wishes have been cast aside for like live service stuff. You shouldn't be surprised when those gamers then rage against the live service stuff, because they look at something like, you know, or Naughty Dog, where they're like, for years, you had them spend 5 years working on live service stuff that was canceled. Like they just wasted 5 years. What are we doing? Fallout's a perfect example. Yeah, like you have Bethesda. Every time somebody asks about Fallout 5, Todd pivots and dodges and says, well, you can play Fallout 76 right now. And we have tons of paid mods that are really, really good. It's like, that's not what I asked about, Todd. Toddathy. That's not what I asked about. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's the gaslighting of like, you don't actually want that. You should try this live service game. You know, that's what starts to drive people a little bit crazy. I do think sometimes it can slip in and people will end up raging against something that they would genuinely like because they're just so used to raging about everything because they have, for years, have seen things announced and released that end up sucking and being lame, and so their knee-jerk reaction is to just be negative because most of the things that they've seen have elicited negative responses. That's why it's really crucial for everybody, no matter who you are, to reset and like honestly ask yourself, am I being skeptical or am I being cynical? There's a lot of cynicism as it pertains to studios like Ubisoft or BGS, for example, Sony live service games. Like it's possible that Sony could make a good live service game that's really solid. I think Marathon is a solid game. Is it solid enough for them to be happy with its financial performance? That's a separate question, but I think it's a solid video game. But there's certainly a lot of cynicism. When Sony announces a new live service game, the default position is this sucks. You know, and it's less an honest evaluation of the game's quality, and it's more a representation of the feeling that this sucks because this is what I'm getting instead of Uncharted 5. This is what I'm getting instead of a new God of War by now, or instead of Bloodborne remake, because you shut down that studio that could have done it very, very well. It's that bitterness that's been born out of years of neglect, you know? So I'm not surprised there's a lot of cynicism and negativity within a lot of these communities, because a lot of them have had to wait a decade for the game that they could have had within just a couple of years, you know? But it's because of years of wasted spending and direction, and it's just too bad. Are you trying to gaslight us that Concord was good? No, I think Concord, specifically how it was framed, was a prime example of the sort of delusion of Jim Ryan. This idea that they were trying to frame it as if it was going to be the next big thing when no one else saw what they were seeing in it. It was that sort of like delusion that turned into gaslighting, which drives people crazy. Where it's the same kind of thing that happened with Hangar, where they announce it as like a new breed of shooter, and you're looking at it and it's the most generic thing you've ever seen, and you're like, what are you talking about? How is this a new breed of anything? Like, what do you see that I am not seeing? Yeah, make it make sense. And even though I think in the case of Hangar, I think they honestly believed their own hype. I think they honestly believed that it was a new breed. They honestly thought it was that good. Some of the postings and statements from some of the devs, I think, showed that they honestly believed what they were pitching and what they were saying. It still makes it delusional. I think it wasn't reflective of reality, demonstrably so, but I think they were honest believers. But I think a lot of gamers end up feeling like, you don't actually think Concord is Star Wars 2.0. You're lying to me to try and get me hyped about it. And that's when gamers turn, like when you are lying to them. Whether it's truly lying or just, the perception of dishonesty, the reaction, the visceral reaction is the same. But I think that's why right now the whole live service debacle for PlayStation, I don't think there's any fixing it. We are Horizon Gathering. We're Horizon Gathering together to play Horizon Gathering. Yeah. I think PlayStation doesn't have an easy way out of that, because I think that the mistrust is there, the bitterness is there. And now, people ask like, oh, are gamers rooting for games like Horizon Hunters Gathering to fail? To a certain extent. With some games, I don't think there's necessarily a broader rooting for failure. But in the case of some games like Horizon Hunters Gathering or Concord or Fair Games or something, I think that you do get to a point where people are rooting for it to fail because of what it represents. Not because of what the game is, because of what it represents. It represents years and billions of dollars of misspending on games that, even if no one was rooting for it to fail, still probably would have failed, because that's how live service works. And I think that's where we're at. A very visceral reaction after years of mismanagement and mistreatment. So, yeah. Yes, so they'll stop making it. Yeah. If we make enough of a fuss over Horizon Hunters Gathering, maybe they'll stop with that and get on Horizon 3 or another Killzone or something. That's kind of the hope. And I think that's what we see. Yeah, Fair Games just doesn't have the ring of Fair Game $. I agree. Dude, I've been trying to say Fair Games because it's now officially called Fair Games. I want to be fair, but dude, it's just ingrained in my soul to call it Fair Game $. I can't, man. I just can't. My brain does not want to move on. It just does not want to move on. Oh. Tangentially, Sebastian Sawa's sub 2-hour marathon record yesterday. Holy. Yeah, dude, the number 2 guy also broke 2 hours. How insane is that? That is a 4-minute, 33-second mile for 26 miles straight. It's insane. It's insane. Imagine running a 4.5-minute mile 26 times in a row. My little legs couldn't even, I get it. There's the genetic gifts, whether it's leg length and stuff or just general cardiovascular stuff. I think a normal human being's proportions are like legs, body, arms, head, and so they can run a marathon and it's solid. My proportions are basically like this. And so we got to do the hair and the beard. There we go. It's more real. Oh, and the ears. There. That's a Luke depiction if I've ever seen one. Why do you think I wear headphones? It's got these elephant ears right here. I can hear the game fully, even with the headphones off, sitting across the room. Sure can. Sure can. Call me Dumbo, baby. But my legs are too stubby, dude. My legs are too stubby. When I run a marathon, I'm running twice as fast effectively. You know, what we need is height adjusted, leg length adjusted marathons. Because, you know, like when you're on a walk, if you have like a little dog that you're walking with and their little legs are going like crazy fast, that's me. Okay. My legs are too short. So you may go a certain distance in 10 steps, but for me, I have to walk 30 steps. So I should only have to do like a third of the distance for it to count. That's what I think. That's what I think. Yeah. That's what I think. Luke can hear my inner thoughts. Sure can. Sure can. Why are they so dirty? Why? Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Sorry, before I get distracted again talking about my leg length. Roundtable Conference, thank you for the resub over on Twitch. I think the whole crux of this is the lore tie-in with the Isu. This group, no matter how grounded the game may be, adds some fantasy. Odyssey just expanded on some of the crazier things the Isu could make. Well, I think that with like Odyssey, they still were vaguely trying to tie it in. And like I said, there's ways they can sort of broadly excuse it and be like, okay, sure. Like, yeah, Isu, something, such and such. Now we have Medusa. Like they tried a little bit, but with like Shadows, with some of the spin-off stuff, you know, they just stopped trying. Shadows was much less of an example of it. Honestly, they did try to walk back a lot of the supernatural stuff. I think in reaction to specifically Valhalla, because Valhalla really leaned into it as well. And that was Montreal, but it also seems like it was part of the broader direction of Mark Alexis. He came in like 2021, I think, after Valhalla, but the whole company and the franchise circa 2020 and 2019 started really experimenting a lot more with the supernatural stuff. It's a very interesting topic, but I do think that the Isu storyline is something that Ubisoft hasn't been sure what they want to do with it for like a decade, and they need to pick a lane, I think, is the broader point. Let's see. Ooh, you guys were generous. Let me see where I left off. What do you think about Warhorse making a Lord of the Rings game? Last I heard, that rumor was debunked, and the Lord of the Rings game that received the 100 million in funding from like Abu Dhabi or wherever it was, they are not making that game. They could be making a Lord of the Rings game, but they're not working on that one specifically. I would love for them to make a Lord of the Rings game. I don't know if they are. So I'm not going to get my hopes up, and I'll be surprised if they reveal it, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. My expectation, based purely on gut vibes, is that I don't think Warhorse is doing something that will take an insane amount of time. There were conversations I had where they didn't, like, nobody ever said anything to me clearly that made me think they're right around the corner. Like, I never got anything like that, but it was something where like I was talking with somebody else and saying like, yeah, so if they do like a new IP, or if they do something totally different, where they have to rebuild a lot of stuff, you know, that probably means that we don't see the next Warhorse game until realistically probably like 2028, 2029. I mean, it might even take 5 years to get something like that made. And then somebody who would know what was going on said, yeah, 5 years is an awful long time to wait for a team like this. Now, that he could be saying 5 years is an awful long time to wait. That's what you're going to have to do. He could be saying that, but it was said in a way where it made me pause and go, so no. So maybe they're getting something out in 3 years. Okay. So I don't know, but I'm not expecting it to take like a decade. I don't think they're going to like go away for 6 years working on a new IP and new stuff entirely. I expect whatever it is probably going to be able to share a lot of the stuff they built for KCD2. That's my guess. KCD3, Henry is hungry again. I think they could do something where they like move forward and actually go and explore the Hussite Wars, and there's things that they could actually do to reuse a lot of what they built, but maybe with a new protagonist and focus on like large scale battles in the big city. Like they could actually go to Prague and do stuff like that. There's all sorts of things they could do where they wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, you know. But we'll see. Real serious. Thank you for that super chat. Rule number 1, you don't talk about the rules. Rule number 2, try not to make crossovers with random IP. Yeah. It's just, I think that was the moment they learned a very hard lesson, which was just that you cannot do things in a vacuum. Like you put a crossover DLC in AC Shadows, it reflects on the whole brand. You just can't do it willy-nilly. You know, it just doesn't work that way. You going over to Fortnite isn't that big of a deal. Dora the Explorer getting a cameo in AC Shadows is a big deal. You know, when you bring something in, it's different than when you put something out. And I think that's the lesson they learned. Tyler Whitney, thank you for the 10. Hi, Luke. Just got back from my honeymoon. Congratulations. In Italy for 2 weeks. Did I miss anything fun in the last 2 weeks? I mean, mainly Assassin's Creed stuff, AC Resynced, stuff like that. It looks like we'll probably hear about GTA 6 in the next few weeks. So we should see a new trailer relatively soon. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I need to go on vacation, or somebody I care about needs to go to the hospital, because every time that happens, we get a new trailer. I told you guys, the first trailer for GTA 6 dropped like while my son was in the hospital with RSV. Like, it was quite remarkable. Yeah, that's just how it times out. It reminds me, I remember being a little kid, and like we got to go to Medieval Times, which is this like dinner theater, like medieval reenactment thing. And I was so excited. I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. I was little. But we had a family cat named Penny. And the day we went to Medieval Times, she ran away. We couldn't find her that morning, but we still hopped in the car. We went to Medieval Times and it was great. Got home, still missing. We never saw the cat again. And from that point, for like years and years and years, I just had this deep-seated, I did almost say it. I had this deep-seated feeling that if something really good happens, it has to be paired with something really bad to balance out the ether. So like I get accepted into a college. I'm like, oh God, what's going to happen now? Like everything like that. It's like, I don't know why, but that's how I've always felt it. Yeah. Karma. I mean, as a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, I had no perception of anything like that. I was just like, whenever something really good happens, something really bad also seems to happen very soon after. We lost our kitty cat, but we got to go to Medieval Times. So I always had like hesitance to do things like, I realize now, I had hesitance to like go on trips or to do big things I would really like because I was always afraid that it would make something bad happen, you know? Yeah, Luke's trauma for the day. Sounds like, I don't know what it was. But anyway, no, I'm joking. Everything's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. Normally it's just whenever I'm traveling, there's some announcement. Like the one time I was flying, I was like, I'm not going to co-stream the Game Awards this year. I'll just hop on a plane and I'll be on a plane ride when I'm on my way back home from New York, actually for a play test of KCD2 before it dropped. And on the plane, it happens and they reveal The Witcher 4. I was like, oh, just luck of the draw. So whenever I'm flying somewhere or I'm like, I've got something I can't move, that's when the GTA 6 trailer will drop. Just wait. The random old guy, we're all gonna die. Oh no. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, it was. I still genuinely, I don't know what happened to that poor cat. It was just, I think the window was open and she had like pushed through the screen on the window and gotten out, and we just never saw her again. I don't know what happened. Don't know what happened to her. I should ask my mom. I should ask my mom if like, did you ever find out and you just didn't tell us because you didn't want to traumatize us? Like if our cats, God forbid, escaped, they don't escape. They go outside if they want to. But if they ever ran away and we didn't find them, but then like we found like they had been hit by a car or something tragic, we wouldn't probably tell the kids. Like we probably would not tell the boys. We just be like, yeah, they ran away to be with their friends. You know, we probably wouldn't tell them. So I wonder if my mom knows what happened to Penny. I wonder. I should ask. Maybe someone adopted her. That's my hope. That's my hope, is that she just went off, found somebody. She wasn't old or anything. We had another cat. Sorry to just trauma dump, and then we'll move on. But we had another cat, Molly. She was the sweetest cat, sweetest, most loveliest cat. But she was getting really old. She had like arthritis. She was old and sickly. And one day she just went outside and disappeared. And it's, if you've never had older cats, it's known, it's like a thing that when they get old, they will sometimes just go off, lay in a bush somewhere, and that's where they pass. Like they just go off. They're like, it's my time. They curl up and they just move on. That's what I hope happened to her, because she went off. We didn't see her again. But it was like, I hope that that's what happened. Because we had an owl in the neighborhood who would lay droppings on our back deck thing. And in one of the droppings, there was what looked to be cat claws. So I'm hoping she went off, peacefully went, and then like an owl found her, or maybe it was not her claws or anything. I hope that that's what happened. But yeah, I remember like being out on the deck and like stepping on one of the little like whatever owl droppings or whatever, and then seeing that and just being like, oh, owls eat cats. Dude, they will carry cats away. Like those owls are freaking huge. Like, have you seen like barn owls? These things are huge, dude. Like, these are just some of the scale comparisons. These are small. Maybe it's not barn owls that I'm thinking of. Is these, yeah, like these monster owls. These things are huge. They will pick up a cat. Dude, what do you mean there's a YouTube video? They will pick up cats and carry them away. Like, you don't mess with owls. Owls are scary. They're monstrous. They may look cute, but there's a reason a lot of them look like this. Like, there's a reason they look evil. Bad. It's bad. Anyway, enough of Luke's trauma. Let me yeah, reverse trauma dumping. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, let me close this. Where did I leave off? Okay. Let me finish catching up on these. The Nerdy Giant, thank you for the 10, very generous, thank you. So been playing Pragmata, love Diane, absolutely adorable, but freaking Capcom, they are just another animal. What are they doing over there? 2 games, both hitters, and we still have Onimusha coming. Well, notably, they were willing to give the teams time to get it working. Like Pragmata, I believe, was originally announced back in like 2020. It was originally supposed to launch in like 2022. And they just delayed it and reworked it, and they gave them time to figure out how to make it work, you know, and because they were clearly having trouble with something in development, whether it was performance or if it was something with the writing or whatever. I don't know. And maybe one day we'll find out what the delays were for, but they delayed it a lot and they gave them time to fix it. Whereas a lot of other studios would just shove it out, you know, and then it launches at a 6 out of 10. not enough cheese, and they just are forgotten and flop. But Capcom gave them time and resources to figure it out, and they did. It's really, really cool. I'm so glad that they were able to figure it out, because after the demo I was like, I don't know, man, how do you turn this into a full game? But they did. Like, it actually works. It's very impressive. Capcom knows what they're doing, man. Real serious, thank you for that super chat. Didn't they do a lot of that mythology stuff with Valhalla too? And that was Montreal. I don't know, I'm asking because I don't know, I'm asking y'all. Last AC I played was the Ezio trilogy. Yes, so Montreal also, they were the primary studio on Valhalla, so a lot of studios worked on these games in that era. It was much less one team working on this game. It was more that like 15 studios are working on one game. Like, even now, if we look at like AC Shadows on Steam, like, hold on, pull it up. Like, look at the number of teams. Like, so it's not as simple as it once was, where like Black Flag was made by Montreal, and maybe a little support from this team or that team, but it was vastly the majority of the work was done by one team. Now it's like a much more spread apart process. But with Valhalla, yes, Montreal was the lead team on that. Valhalla, just more generally though, really expanded on a lot of Quebec's desires with Odyssey, and I think it's because Odyssey did really, really well as well. And so they were trying to experiment, like, what if we really go to the full extent of the RPG thing and just go all out? And it just went crazy. But yeah, that whole era is when they started, like, it was that approach to just take the supernatural stuff and just expand it and go crazy. 14 teams, damn son. Yeah, I mean, when Ubisoft has like a ridiculous number of teams, but they all touch a little piece of these games. Like, it's pretty outrageous. But that's why it's also interesting to see that now with the Creative House approach, they're trying to stop that. They're trying to make it so Montreal does Assassin's Creed. They can get technological support from another team. They can have this team come in and help them with this or that. Or if they need help with the engine, they can call over this team, and they can do stuff like that. It's not like they're totally siloed, but the idea is that this becomes the team that specializes in this. So you don't have a team that's working on Just Dance and Far Cry and Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell remake and all of these other things, so that they can't specialize. They want a team that specializes, which I think is a good way to do it. Let's see. And yeah, Onimusha I do think is going to be awesome. Going back to Nerdy Giant's comment. The Conan, thank you for the super chat. Can you dive anywhere in AC Black Flag Resynced? I don't know specifically. Do you mean like with the diving bell? Because if that's what you mean, I don't think so. The diving bell can only be used at specific diving locations, just like in the original game. So there's specific places built out for shipwrecks in that area. If you mean just jump off your ship anywhere, yeah, I would assume so, but I don't know exactly what you mean. But thank you for the super chat. Justin, thank you for the 5. Do you think AC Hexe is going to get another delay because of the recent creative director? Kind of answered that in the segment. Personally, yes, I expect that. Why do some gaming companies, this is also Justin, why do some gaming companies, why are they so I read this one about being doom and gloom within the communities. We did respond to that one. Way, thank you for the super chat. I'm a college student with my major being simulation. I almost said stimulation. I was like, where do I get that degree? And game design, wanting to be in the game industry. Do you think the layoffs will get any better for me? Fit the part? I think thank you for the super chat, first of all. Very glad to have you here. As for the current state of the industry, I think the key is just to go and work with a team that has a game and a project and a vision you believe in that you can be excited about. And, the business side of it will work itself out. All of the biggest guys right now started at these companies when they were not what they are today. They started in a small team that very few people have heard of, and they climbed the ranks and built some amazing games. But that's how it works. I mean, like Warhorse was an indie studio that ended up pumping out one of the biggest games of 2025 in their second release, but they were hiring people, based on the hope and a dream, but it clearly worked out. I think the key is to not just look at teams and look for jobs at like EA or Ubisoft or PlayStation. Like if that works out, great. But also be open to working with some of these smaller indie teams, because it's those projects you'll be really passionate about. You'll meet some great people. You get a lot more direct experience, I think. And honestly, as insane as it is to say, your job might be more steady with an indie team or a AA size team than with a big AAA studio nowadays, which is crazy, but that's just how it seems to be. But I encourage you to pursue the passion. Pursue the passion. You can do it. One of the best comments about this was actually from Jim Carrey. He gave a commencement speech. Let me see if I can find it. Commencement. Is this the snippet? This might be it.
Imagining ghosts. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Very true. Very true. Who said rip to Jim Carrey's clone? How dare you? That's crazy. But that is very true. And I encourage you to think about that. Whenever you're like, do I take the risk? Do I push? Do I try? Remember, you can still fail even at the thing you don't want to do. Might as well try the thing you do want to do. I'm also a living testament to that, you know? I'm a living testament. Many people in my life told me, you have a job in commercial real estate and you want to leave that and try to be a gaming YouTuber. Really? Like, I had the big boy job. I had it all. Like, if I just put my head down, sold my soul and grinded it out, I'd be doing just fine right now, you know? Probably, maybe, but you never know. A lot of those guys I was hired with, they didn't make any money for like 2 or 3 years, right as interest rates spiked, because there were no deals. Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now? One of those guys actually called me up, asked me if I wanted to buy any apartment buildings, asked me, hey, I hear you're doing well. Do you have any money you need to deploy in real estate? I was like, how the turntables turn, my friend. You're calling me now. You're calling me. I should tell him, because he was kind of a dick to me back in the day. I was like, I should maybe tell him, like, this is my worst impulses. I'm like, you need to do something for me. Like, you need to give me a pedicure or something, like literally bowing at my feet, something like that. Then I'll consider it. Like when I got the pedicure the other day and they were like rubbing fruit on my legs for some reason, something like that. Make a fruit salad on my legs. That's what'll do it. Because he was such a dick. But to see him come back and ask me for money, it was delicious. I was like, I gotta chase this feeling. This is great. Let's see. Let me continue with these. Making meat candles too. Well, no, those are good candles. I'm not wasting those on him. Yeah. Let's see. Luke, did anyone in that call tell them about wanting more games with former assassins like Connor, Arno, and especially Bayek? Are they aware? They are aware that those are fan favorite characters that people are passionate about. They also, I think, are aware that if you don't do that right, it could go very poorly. Like if you bring back, I don't know, if you bring back, well, just Bayek, to use your example. If you bring back Bayek and you do a bad job, you write it poorly and it's like really cringy, that will probably cause more blowback than it was worth to bring him back, you know? So I think the key is they do know it, but they got to be able to execute on it properly, you know? Sorry, Romeo hears me through the window and thinks I'm trapped again. Every once in a while he'll be outside playing and then he hears me through the window and he's like, "Oh my God, Dad is trapped in the basement. Oh my God." And he'll start barking like crazy. It's very cute. And then he gets bored and he leaves and forgets, but that's how it is. Let's see. Wallet the Great, thank you for that super chat. I'm building my setup, but I don't know which monitor to get. I've come across a 32-inch from AOC and a 34-inch from Xiaomi, both 2K panels. People have told me that if it's 2K, a 27-inch is better. Yeah, just think of it like you're literally taking a picture and stretching it. So the bigger the picture is, if the resolution stays the same, the physically larger the pixels are. So it depends on how close you're sitting to the desk or to the monitor. It depends on all of that. I would say once you get to 32 inches, I would seriously consider 4K, because most reasonable distances at a desk, you're probably going to start to see pixelization if you're dealing with like a HD or even quad HD screen. So I would encourage you, if you're going 32, look to 4K. If you're going like 27 inch, then like 1440p is great. You know, you can do that, but I would probably agree with that general sentiment. Bigger is not always better, is what I would say. MTS, thank you for the 5. What is the status of the Splinter Cell remake remaster? The project seems to be dead quiet. Apparently it is progressing and they are in the home stretch. That is apparently where they're at. The Quantico Man, thank you for the 5, or for the 10. Very generous. Thank you. Luke, do you remember the old image leaks of the PS4 and Xbox 720? Shit makes me feel old thinking back. Yeah, dude. But that's why I'm saying, literally, if they were to come back and Project Helix is literally like, they name it the Xbox 720 and it looks like this, bro, that would be such a W, and I think it would go so viral and so many people would buy it. Imagine if they released it and it looked like this. Dude, old school. What is this picture? It's amazing. Like it would be fantastic. So I hope that that's what they do. I hope they just go full lean into like the outrageous leaked designs from back in the day. Call it the Xbox 720. I think it go so viral. I would buy it so instantly. It would look so ugly. Yeah, dude, but don't you prefer that over like just a black box that looks like a mini fridge? I want that. I want that crazy thing. Make it clear plastic, shiny and stupid. I want that, dude. I want that. I want it. I want it now. I want that one. Kyle, thank you for the 10. I can't help but imagine Phil at home in his boxers, 5 drinks in, watching the buzz around Asha, tearing apart everything he built, getting praised and mouthing under his breath, "They'll be sorry." It has to be like, here's the thing for Phil. Okay. I'll play defense for Phil a little bit. I think Phil's hands were tied for the last like 3 years. I just get the vibe. Like when he had agency, he was going out doing interviews, doing podcasts. I think he was like, he was passionate about what he was doing and he was trying. And then notice what happened. He disappeared. He disappeared in the last like year and a half. And I think just frankly what happened is that he got these directives from on high. They said, get to 30% margin, do this, do that. They started putting all of these rules in place and it just crushed him. It crushed his spirit. And so he kind of gave up, checked out, decided, you know what, I'm done. And he retired. So I think at this point, yeah, he's probably chilling 5 drinks deep in his boxers, but I think he's like, I could have done this if they had let me. If they had given me the leeway to get rid of Sarah and to cut prices and stuff, I would have done that. Like, I don't think Phil wanted to raise prices like he did. I don't think Phil wanted to do all of this stuff. I think a lot of it was just forced by the situation. You can still say it's his fault ultimately because he is the CEO, and that's true. But I don't think I don't get the vibe that Phil was super thrilled with how things were going, you know? I don't think he was super thrilled with how things were going. I think he was very upset with it, frankly, which is why he retired. Let's see. The Quantico Man, thank you also for the 10. Do you think the Faye lead God of War will be successful or an Atreus-led one? I mean, I think we'll actually talk about it in a second, but I do think it will be successful. Yeah. I mean, it's a Santa Monica game. Corey's working on it. There's no denying that team and Corey know what they're doing. And so I fully expect that game is going to be baller. It's going to be very, very different from anything people have tried before with this, but I do think it's going to pop off. Bernardo Quadro, thank you for the super chat. Luke, can I have your cuties for a week? Promise I'll take care of them super well. Just send them to Brazil. I'll address the inbox. I'm not. Do you mean my candles? I'm not sure what you mean. I was raised in a household where cuties were the name for mini oranges. So I like, do you guys know cuties, the oranges? Cuties. These. So if you need cuties, I can hook you up. The cats are kids. Yeah, this is a moment where clarity is important, okay? Because we could be talking about oranges or cats or children. And your answer will heavily change my reaction. Okay, so clarity, please. Clarity, please. Leo, thank you for the 5. Hey, Luke, being a sucker for character animation in games, I wish they went back to Unity's more animation-heavy parkour system. It had so much flair. I do agree it had a lot of flair, and I hope they go back to it. And I will say they are well aware of the feedback with parkour. I do think that is like #1 priority with a lot of this stuff. So, yeah, I do think that is a priority for them. Real quick, also Reddit list, thank you for the resub over on Twitch, and Prime Elite also thank you for the sub over on Twitch. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. He wants your mini oranges. That's what I choose to believe. Okay, real quick, new segment. I forgot I had it that loud. I'm sorry. New segment. That took me out. I was like, whoa. Real quick, I wanted to look at this, okay, before we run out of time. I should make sure we're not running out of time too quick. Okay. Make sure we're good there. Okay. Yes, we should be. Okay. So it's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen, when we're wondering what is happening within one of the biggest publishers and studio houses in the industry. A Redditor, which is how you always start a great story, posted something over on Blue Sky, no, Reddit, where they basically collected a mix of rumors, leaks, confirmed titles from PlayStation's first-party studios, and I thought it'd be interesting to look through these and see where we are, kind of get a pulse check on everything, because things have changed within PlayStation significantly. Lots of cancellations, lots of shifts, there's new leaks and rumors about different things that are happening, and this individual, Kikon Kok, I think, did a very good job of collecting all of these tidbits here. So I thought we'd look through them. There's a collection of kind of confirmed obvious stuff, like Wolverine, for example. There's others that are more question marks. Technically, some stuff outlined in here are leaks and rumors and stuff. As you can see, like Gummy Bears. This was the one that started at Bungie. Game Post describes it as a MOBA with some Smash Bro elements. What? But we'll get to this. Okay, we'll talk about it. But there are some interesting tidbits in here as well. And it hopefully will give you a broader picture of what's going on and what the timeline is. Because, of course, we have the obvious one, which is Wolverine, that's expected later this year. That presumably is still going to happen. And we have those, but we also are expecting next year there to become more of a regular pace with some of Sony's big stuff. So we're gonna see where this is at. Yeah, what a name. Yeah, I'm sure it's like, with my luck, it's like some sort of religious affiliation and I just offended many people, but I'm trying. How am I supposed to say that? Keckenkok? That sounds worse to me if I just say it quickly. I I don't know how to say. Thank you anyway for the post. It's very, very well done. Naughty Dog, number 1, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, expected to come out 2027, obviously. This is one that I think is going to be fascinating to see, but amazingly enough, it's also turned out to be somewhat controversial. You know, I think it mainly just coming off of the rough few years for Naughty Dog, lots of remakes, remasters. Season 2 of the show also kind of perturbed people. How that affects the game, I don't think it'll do that much. A lot of the drama is specifically targeting Neil. Love him or hate him, he is a polarizing figure, which whether you love him or hate him, you probably agree with. He is a polarizing figure. But he does have good taste in watches, which at the very least I can give him credit for, because
Neil has a lot more money than you. He's better than us. We're poor.
I am jealous of his watches. Having said that, that is expected probably to come out sometime next year. It's said to be inspired by Elden Ring. Specifically, this was a rumor that was coming around. Somebody familiar with the game said that it reminded them of Elden Ring. It was given like... A lot of people internally compared it to Elden Ring specifically. Min-Max's Ben Hansen said, quote, I've heard Naughty Dog's next game is very inspired by a game with a lot of player freedom. Elden Ring is what it was compared to. It's taking place on one planet, uncovering the history of this world. You can kind of see a little bit where they might be going with that. This is also coming off the backs of a lot of interviews that Neil did back right after The Last of Us Part 2 and around the launch of Elden Ring, where he said that what he was most interested in exploring in his next game was specifically the idea that you can tell a story without dialogue and cutscenes. So he loved the idea of exploring how to tell a story in a Naughty Dog way without relying so heavily on cutscenes, like environmental storytelling, things like that. You know, that's the key. And I don't know how that works. Naughty Dog obviously is known for like cinematic storytelling, for cutscenes, for motion capture excellence and all that. And I'm sure that they're very they'll still have a lot of that, obviously, as we saw in the trailer that they released. But I don't know how this is going to work when it comes to taking lessons and learnings from Elden Ring and trying to mix that in with Naughty Dog's expertise. But either way, they are very, very good at what they do when it comes to storytelling. So that's going to be interesting to see. One of the last things we heard about the game, obviously, was that Naughty Dog employees had to work overtime to get the game done. Specifically, not get the game done. This specific story, little correction, is specifically that they were working on a demo. That demo was due by the end of December of 2025. And apparently they had to crunch to get that demo done. And that meant that people were like staying in the studio super late hours. And it was a whole thing because Naughty Dog famously in their Grounded 2 documentary about the making of The Last of Us Part 2 said many times over that they did not want to do crunch anymore, that they wanted to get rid of that. But that's just apparently that's only true for a little while because it's back. So they did crunch. They are working on it. Apparently 2027 is when it's expected. If they did a demo, this is what I've been saying. If they were working on a demo at the end of December, that demo, like if they're working on a demo, is the demo just for internal review? If it was so important that they needed to crunch to finish it, is it just for executives? I wouldn't think so. So this made me think maybe there's a reveal or another trailer coming soon. It's expected that there's probably a showcase in May at some point for PlayStation, and that showcase will have a lot. They'll probably call it a state of play, but there'll be some show where they reveal a lot of stuff, and that maybe Intergalactic shows up once more with that demo gameplay preview or whatever from December. That's kind of my expectation. So I do think we'll see it soon. I don't think they would have crunched just for like an internal review. I think that probably is more that they are going to do this. let's see. Unannounced Uncharted project. This is one we've talked about a few times. Sean Escague, who is somebody that has worked all over. He left for a little while, came back to Naughty Dog. He has been the project director on this since apparently 2022. Not much is known about it. Claims are about it being a dual protagonist title with Nate and Cassie. Those claims are apparently debunked as of right now. Who knows exactly what it looks like, but it's been rumored for a while that this is probably something that they are working on. Specifically, the rumors were for a long time that it was going to be specifically about Cassie, and that it was going to be a game, kind of a new reboot of Uncharted. I'm guessing it's probably not called Uncharted 5. I think it's going to be a new trilogy or something focused on her. I do personally like the idea of a dual protagonist thing, where they would do like Nate basically passing the torch off to her. I don't know if they're going to do that. I just think that Uncharted is Nathan Drake. I don't know how it works to pass it off to a new protagonist. Like obviously for the Lost Legacy, they did do that. They tried to have it with Chloe and Nadine. In my humble opinion, it didn't work anywhere near as well. Obviously, a lot of people did like it even still, but I don't know if for a standalone game if that works in the same way. So I'm interested, but I do think that you should have Nathan in the game in some capacity to kind of pass the torch, but we'll see. We'll see. Last of Us Part 3 also supposedly coming at some point. Neil has hinted at this many times, teased many times at this point by Neil and Naughty Dog developers in lots of interviews. Lots of storylines that could be part of it have been teased, like a story with Tommy, continuation of the Fireflies, and a congregation of immune people. He's hinted at it a bunch of times. At the end of that Grounded 2 documentary, Neil was saying like, there's probably another chapter to this story that needs to be told and stuff like that. I don't know what that means. I don't know where they go. I think The Last of Us needs to be about Joel and Ellie. I don't think that they're going to do Last of Us with like just Abby or something. I don't think they'll do something like that. If it's The Last of Us Part 3 specifically, if that's how it's framed, that's not like The Last of Us Renegade or something spinoff, it's probably going to still have them. Neil has previously said that The Last of Us is about Joel and Ellie. So I don't know what that would be. What I think would be cool is if they explore what Joel and Tommy did to survive after Sarah's death. That I think would be cool. It's something fans have wanted to see for a long time, to specifically see how Joel got to where he was right at the start of the first game. And I think that could be really cool. But whether we'll see that or not, I don't know. Personally, I think that's less likely. Neil really likes games with like strong female protagonists and narratives, and a game focused on Joel and Tommy. I'm not sure if that's his style recently, but we'll see. Part 3, Joel comes back as a ghost. It would actually, dude, imagine if they did The Last of Us Part 3, but it was straight up like Batman Arkham Knight, where like the Joker keeps popping up on like buildings while you're exploring. And so like Ellie bursts in a door and she's having a mental breakdown slowly over the course of the game and just opens a door and Joel's there talking to you. That could actually be kind of funny. That could be funny. That could be funny. Yeah, Johnny Silverhand him. You could do that, honestly. And it probably would. I think that would have gone over better than The Last of Us Part 2. Imagine that. Yeah. The fungus is infecting her brain and slowly corrupting her. And so she starts to see Joel as she goes on this adventure to I don't know, do something. Maybe they get word that there's a scientist in New York City that can actually cure this. But Ellie has to be there alive to finally do the operation where they extract her brain and make a cure. And so like as she goes, she starts losing her mind slowly. That could be really cool. That could honestly be interesting. More likely, I think they're going to do something more insane, or she's just effing crazy. That could be too. There were rumors that maybe they were going to explore like a congregation of immune people. I hope they don't do that, because that kind of kills like everything that makes Ellie special. I hope that's not what they do. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Santa Monica, the big one. God of War Faye spinoff. This, of course, has been rumored for a little while. Plot claimed to be centered around Faye and Tyr traveling to different mythologies in a time before God of War 2018. These reportedly include the Mayan and East Asian mythologies. Could be really cool. Directed by Cory Barlog, and a different combat style as well. It will not play similarly or that similarly to the previous games. It will play very, very differently, which would be interesting. I don't know exactly what that's going to be like, but I'm here for it. And like I said, Corey knows what he's doing. Santa Monica knows what they're doing. So that could be really, really cool. And if it's releasing next year, assuming Intergalactic is fall of next year, and then this is spring, I mean, I think that's where it has to land. Sony usually does a big spring game and a big fall game. So like this year they're doing Saros and then Wolverine. Next year could be the God of War spinoff and then Intergalactic. That seems to line up nicely. God of War Trilogy Remake, of course, they announced this. Christopher Judge said that there was a new combat system. Wait, I didn't hear this. Oh, it was struck? Oh. Oops. Oops. I didn't see that. It says God of War Remakes will have TC Carson, new combat system. I guess maybe I did see this before because this is posted 2 months ago, but I didn't realize they struck it and took down the clip. That to me makes it seem much more likely that it's real. But okay, so he says it's a new combat system. I don't know how that works because I really like the arcadey one of the OG games. And if you're going to remake it, I guess they just didn't want to have to remake the combat system 1-to-1. But if they just remake it and it ends up having the same combat system as the recent games, I don't know how that works. So who knows? We'll see. But it seems very, very, very early on. So we'll see how that goes. God of War Sons of Sparta 2 to be determined according to Erfan, one of the first leakers for Sons of Sparta. An entire 2D trilogy was in the cards, but it depended on the first game's reception. Of course, God of War Sons of Sparta, this is that like 2D side-scrolling one that they dropped kind of out of nowhere. This was rumored for a while. Honestly, it didn't end up hitting, I think, like they were hoping for. A lot of people found it just to be kind of I downloaded it, I played a bit of it, and bro, I fell off of it. I was like, I'm feeling like I may just look up a story synopsis and do it that way. Like it just was not clicking with me. And it seems like I think a lot of other people had a similar reaction to it. It just seemed to be, I don't know. It just didn't hit for me. It did not hit for me. You know, bounced off of it really quick. So I'd be surprised, honestly, if they greenlit a trilogy. But maybe they were really like cheap to make. I don't know. But it wasn't what I was hoping for when it comes to like a 2.5D side-scrolling game. It just didn't click. Insomniac, Wolverine, of course, expected September 15th. No delay announced as of yet, so I would expect it's pretty well locked in. I don't think you can delay it because you run into GTA 6. So I think it's coming in September. It's leaked across the board. Yeah, what's left to say about this game that hasn't leaked? Yeah, pretty much everything. So, like, if you want to know the details of the story, if you want to know details about literally everything, it's all out there. So I encourage you not to look that up. Don't do that. Try to enjoy it when it drops, but it's expected to come. Marvel's Venom also is expected to come out probably sometime in 2027. That was the original window, at least. MP First claims the game will star Eddie Brock as the protagonist. Carnage is the main villain. Anti-Venom would make an appearance in some capacity. Not much is known about it beyond that. It was very, very early during those Insomniac leaks, so who knows? But it was originally slated for 27. My guess would be it might have slipped to 28, given that the other games like Intergalactic is more locked in for 27. And I don't think Sony wants to drop 3 AAA games in the same year if they can help it. They tend to like to space them. Spider-Man 3, this one, release window 2028. Cindy Moon Silk has been added as protagonist alongside Peter and Miles. Green Goblin would act as the main villain and have a goblin army. Also a chance of Spider-Man 2099 making an appearance. Okay. It's a ways off. We'll see. Again, my primary concern, focus, whatever, is that Insomniac's writing quality for Spider-Man 2 was abysmal, in my humble opinion. It was really bad. Somehow they dodged the blowback from that like 2022 to 2024 window where any game with bad writing was eviscerated. Somehow they dodged that blowback and managed not to face any of it. But dude, the writing was terrible. So I hope that they respond to some of the feedback and overhaul it. I don't think they will, though, because I think they don't think there was a problem. We've done segments looking at interviews with like the game's director and some of the people that worked on it, and it seemed very they seemed belligerently confident in some of the design choices they had. So I don't think it's enough to like ruin the game or anything, but I think it's enough to knock like a point off the score. Like some of the stuff they did, the famous refrigerator scene being iconic at this point for sure. But yeah, I hope that they revisited some of those writing principles before they tackled like Wolverine in the third game. Ratchet and Clank Ragtag Team. Probably a year following that. Marvel's X-Men, probably even after that. Almost certainly PlayStation 6 game. And that's true of a lot of these. New IP also is expected at some point later on in the generation as well. They did several pitches for new IP. Nobody really knows what that's going to look like or if it will ever be greenlit and see the light of day. It's possible they just end up being the Marvel studio forever. Maybe they let them do a new IP. Who knows? Fire Sprite, Until Dawn 2, which was labeled Project Heartbreak. Release windows unknown. According to Colin Moriarty, the game is set on an island with a female lead. I loved Until Dawn, the original one. It seems like such an oversight and a blunder that they never really nailed that as its own kind of subgenre of the narrative games. So I think that this needs more love and attention and focus. So I am hopeful that this does see the light of day because I really like the OG. It was campy and stupid and silly, just like, you know, the quarry that would come after it. I like those games, but, you know, some people don't. I like how campy and silly and stupid they are. Guerrilla Games, of course, Horizon Hunter's Gathering. That's coming. It's a co-op game with different art styles. Some closed betas have already happened, so there's a chance for the full release to happen next year. Possibly next year, possibly this year. Maybe they cancel it. Who knows? But I do think it's almost certainly coming at some point. I don't think Herman's going to cancel it. I know some people have thought that maybe based on the reaction they would, but I don't think so. I think they'll do more play tests. They'll do that stuff, and it'll just kind of release to a whimper, it seems. I have not seen anybody that's like super stoked about it. At least not enough to like, I think, make it profitable. Because bear in mind, like, this game is from one of their top studios. It's one of their most expensive studios, and they've been working on it for years. Like, I think the game director was assigned to it 6 years ago or something like that. So they've been working on this for ages, and it is extremely expensive. So this thing does not, like, this doing 10,000 concurrents, that's not enough. This needs to pop off in order to turn a profit. And bear in mind, they also are probably going to sell it as a premium priced game, which I think will harm it even more. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see how this goes. But like, I fully expect that Marathon has already greatly outperformed the numbers this is going to do. But I think that this is probably more expensive than Marathon, like, to make, which is wild. Horizon 3, TBD, according to Jason, it's still a long way off from launch since Hunter's Gathering took most of their workforce, which is true. Some people were trying to suggest that Hunter's Gathering was just like a small spin-off team of like 15 people. No, like, it's like the team. The Forbidden West team is on this. This is what they're doing. So it's not a spin-off small project. Like, this is all hands on deck, very expensive, okay? Very expensive. Bungie, Destiny 3, of course, reported last year by Destiny to be an extremely early development, so no one should expect this until the next decade at the earliest. Yeah, so early 2030s, frankly, is likely. Honestly, it's probably late in the PS6 generation. Let that settle in. That's the timelines we're talking about, if Bungie still exists at that point. Haven is working on Fair Game $, which, yes, is Fair Games now. They removed the $. Sorry, not sorry. But it was originally scheduled for release last year. It was announced, of course, back in 2023 with a CGI trailer. It has not seen the light of day since then. Insider Gaming recently released some info about it, and playtest based on playtesters, the game isn't fun yet. They've done repeated playtests. There was one playtest where reportedly, after, it was also Insider Gaming that reported it, apparently Jade Raymond, who co-founded the studio, left. Shortly after that, the creative director of the game left. And so there's just been departure after departure. It's apparently a game that just cannot find its footing. What is fascinating, though, is that reportedly, according to Insider Gaming, this original art style is almost completely gone from the game. In his most recent article, he said that the style resembled like the Division and Call of Duty much more than this. So this like poppy purple art style, very Ubisoft circa 2014, this whole vibe apparently is gone and they cut it. So I expect next time we see it, it will look very different. People like be like, I think people are going to be like, this is fair games. I think it's probably very, very different than what we last saw it as. But is that enough? Time will tell. They can change the style, which I think is a good move to rebrand it. But I like whether or not it's fun is a separate question. And that's what the reporting says has been a struggle for them to find. It's just making it fun, something people want to play for months on end. But that's still coming. It's been delayed a ton and it's still undergoing play tests, but Herman refuses to close it. So they're still working on it. Housemarque, of course, has Sorrows coming very, very soon. It's reviewed really well. I will have a video out on it. Possibly tomorrow we put it out. I think I have to double check embargo info, but basically it's really good. It's way more approachable than Returnal was. So a lot of people who played Returnal for like 10 hours and then gave up on it after a really bad run or something, this game is like tailor-made for you. If you liked what Returnal was, but like you just couldn't get through all the way, this is for you, because there's a lot of stuff they've done to make it more approachable while still retaining what makes it work. It's not easier. Like I know some people say it's easier. It is, you are able to adjust it, but you're also able to adjust it up. Like if you need it more difficult, there's modifiers that reward you for playing more difficult, with more difficult modifiers. If you want to make it a little bit easier to like lower the damage you take by a tad, you can do that, but you have to balance it out with a negative modifier to make it level. So it's not strictly easier. It's not like there's an easy mode, but I get why people say that. But overall, it's very, very good, and there's a reason it's reviewed very, very positively, because it's very good. Yeah, IGN gave it a 7 and complained about it. Yeah, they complained that it was repetitive. A roguelike, they said it was too repetitive. What? That's like eating fish and saying it tastes too fishy. Like, do you know what you ordered? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, Luke, how long do you think Sony can realistically keep gambling their money away on live service cash cows? Until they run out and Herman's gone. Realistically, I think they've already started to tone it back. At this point, it seems like they're not greenlighting a lot of new live service projects. They're just seeing through all the ones that they had. So I think Concord was the wake-up call that they can't just throw money and gamble like crazy. So now what they're doing with like fair games is that they are giving it time, delaying it, doing play tests, collecting player feedback, going back to the drawing board, redesigning stuff. You don't like the art style? Okay, we'll redo the art style, things like that. So they're trying to give it the time to actually stand a chance of success instead of just throwing it out to the wolves, which is what they did with Concord. So it's a better approach. I'm just, and maybe this is cynical of me, I just am a personal believer that there's some game concepts and ideas that just will never work. Like I think that there's just some concepts for games that just don't work and will never find Fortnite money. Like it just doesn't work, but maybe that's negative of me. Team LFG is working on Gummy Bears. As I mentioned earlier, this is a spin-off project. I believe it originated at Bungie. They bought Bungie. This spun off into its own team and they're working on it. It's apparently a MOBA that has Smash Bro elements. I don't know what that means. It would have entered pre-alpha testing stage last year, and it was also discovered that a Discord server was created for the game. Tells me also they're probably doing closed play tests and stuff like that. Could be cool. It sounds unique at the very least. So we'll see what that looks like. Bend Studio, of course, they are one of the last studios standing as well. Of course, Blue Point was canned and shut down, even though they were amazingly talented. But Bend dodged that. They are reportedly working on an unannounced live service project suggested by job listings to be yet another live service title after the cancellation of their latest multiplayer project, Mirror Pond. We don't know anything about it. What we do know is a lot of the people who worked on Days Gone are no longer there and things have shifted and changed a lot. But it's some sort of multiplayer live service game. So who knows? Some other studios which we know close to nothing about their next projects are, of course, Sucker Punch. They just put out Yote. Who knows what they're working on next? Maybe another game in the Ghost series. It could be a new IP. We don't know. Team Asobi, who knows what they're working on? It could also be another. I mean, it could be literally anything. They can kind of do whatever they want at this point. After 2024. Media Molecule. We also have Polyphony Digital. I don't know how to say it, from which we can expect more Gran Turismo. San Diego studio with MLB The Show, but that's pretty much the lineup we have right now. It's kind of surprising when you lay it out like this, how straightforward it seems, but this is what we're looking at. So we do have a number of very large games. It does seem like 2027 is going to be a big year and they're going to come out swinging, but you also got to remember that somewhere in this mix, they have the PlayStation 6 launching probably realistically 2028. There's been rumors they might try to expedite to like 2027, not expedite, but the original timeline was late 27. I think it's 28 personally, but we'll see. Next year, we could be getting a new generation. We don't know. But here's what I find fascinating is just after all of this, like I look at this lineup, but then I think it also compare it to like what Xbox has, and bro, things could get spicy in the next couple of years. Like if Xbox is actually able to step up the quality bar and start delivering consistently really high quality games, dude, you could start seeing Xbox regularly compete for Game of the Year in a way that they've never done. Of course, a lot of these I think are going to do tremendously well at like Game Awards shows, obviously, but you could start to see things getting really, really interesting really quickly. It's going to be fascinating to watch, but there you go. There's the lineup, everything Sony's got going on. Yeah, main takeaway, don't worry. Fair Games is still coming. Don't worry. Still coming. Okay. Thank you for all of this, guys. I had a wonderful time, even though I meant to do like a really quick stream of like an hour. We went for 3. Oops. But I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of you guys for chilling with me. Tomorrow we have a showcase for Blood of Dawnwalker. And there's also, I believe, a showcase from Insider Gaming that they're doing. We should have a lot to talk about, either which way. So I will either be streaming tomorrow or I will be streaming on Wednesday, looking at everything that they showed off. Okay, so we're gonna check all of that out. Look at my meme in Discord. Hold on, I closed the Discord. Hold on. Oh my God. It's okay, Luke Stevens. Hard throbbing, girthy. Luke stiffens. I've never actually heard somebody say Luke stiffens, so that's honestly pretty clever, and I've never heard that before, so you got me. That's original. Never heard that one before. That's pretty good. Got me there. Okay. Thank you, my friends. This has been wonderful. Thank you for taking notes about my Crimson Desert problems. Appreciate you. Yeah, hopefully they can get it fixed. That would be awesome if they can. Hopefully you don't have to go all the way back and lose progress. But thank you, my friends. Much love. I will see you soon. Hugs and kisses. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye. Mwah.